Hello, Bitcoiners, fellow Bitcoiners, because I'm an owner myself. I understand that
Bitcoin Magazine
wanted me to give all of you a virtual high five for how the Bitcoin halving went. Price was way up. It's down a little bit now. I don't know if you've realized, but I'm sure it's going to keep climbing. Capital gains incoming, folks. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day this Friday. That's right. Today, apparently a guy named Laszlo bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins in 2010. That would be, I'm not a math genius, but if anyone gives you 10,000 to 1 odds on anything, you take it. That's right. It would be worth roughly $100 million today. And that is Stories from Brian. Congrats. Let's go, Bitcoiners. Let's buy. Don't ever sell. You're going to screw me.
Bitcoin Pizza Day. It was the spring of 2010. Bitcoin was little over 1 year old when Laszlo Hanyecz, a programmer in his late 20s from Jacksonville, Florida, stumbled across the new type of digital currency. He wanted to try his hand at generating some new coins, mine Bitcoin. And while most miners these days were using their CPU, their computer's processor, to mine Bitcoins, Laszlo figured that his graphics card, his GPU, would actually be much better at the job. It worked like a charm. Benefiting from the performance boost, Laszlo soon generated thousands of coins a day, a significant chunk of all newly mined Bitcoin. This led Laszlo to the logical next question: what to do with the coins? At this time, Bitcoin were nearly worthless, trading for fractions of a cent, and often even given away for free. It was essentially play money, if it could be considered money at all. As far as known, no one had actually bought or sold anything for Bitcoin. Laszlo was about to change this. On May 18th, 2010, he took to the Bitcoin Talk forum and started a thread titled Pizza for Bitcoins. He wrote, "I'll pay 10,000 Bitcoins for a couple of pizzas, like maybe 2 large ones so I have some left over for the next day." After a few days of no takers, it was May 22nd when Laszlo showed up in the thread with an announcement that would go down in Bitcoin history. "I just wanted to report that I successfully traded 10,000 Bitcoins for pizza," Laszlo wrote, adding photos of 2 Papa John's pizzas as proof. 18-year-old Jeremy Sturdivant from Britain had taken up Laszlo's offer over IRC, the chat program still popular among hackers. Jerkos, as he was known in the nascent Bitcoin community, ordered 2 pizzas online for some 25 or 30 bucks, paid with his credit card, and had it delivered to Laszlo in Jacksonville. In return, he received Laszlo's 10,000 coins directly in his Bitcoin wallet. With Laszlo and Jeremy's deal, the first ever recorded Bitcoin purchase was a fact. A major milestone for Bitcoin. Little did Laszlo know, Bitcoin itself was just about to go on a wild ride. By today's Bitcoin prices, the pizzas cost Laszlo roughly $100 million. But this has never fazed Laszlo. "I wanted to do the pizza thing because, to me, it was free pizza," he later told Bitcoin Magazine. "I mean, I coded this thing and mined Bitcoin and I felt like I was winning the internet that day. I got pizza for contributing to an open source project. Usually hobbies are a time sink and money sink, and in this case, my hobby bought me dinner." Laszlo's hobby bought him dinner, and a place in Bitcoin's annals of history. 10 years down the road, the milestone purchase is commemorated each year with its own Bitcoin holiday, celebrated by a global community of eccentric digital currency enthusiasts, following in Laszlo's footstep, ordering pizza with Bitcoin on that same day. May 22nd is Bitcoin Pizza Day.
What's up, everybody? We're live. I'm Tommy. I'm here from the Bitcoin Magazine headquarters in Nashville. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day to everybody. We got a little delay here. We're very unorganized, but we're already eating pizza over here. We're looking to give away pizzas to everyone who likes, retweets, and comments with hashtag Bitcoin Pizza Day and hashtag Stack Slices. We'll DM you with your promo code so you can order yourself pizza on us. And that's it. So get on Twitter. Make sure you follow, like, retweet, and comment. We got trivia later up for chances to win even more pizza. And that's it. Happy Pizza Day.
That nobody can control. So I just got into it a little bit, and then it just grew on me. It became more serious in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bitcoin Millionaire. Today we have the great contestant, Sunil. Sunil, you want to go ahead and give us a quick introduction?
Hi, I'm Sunil. I'm an IT consultant based in London. Very excited to be on the show.
We're excited to have you. And how did you get into Bitcoin, or how did you stumble in the rabbit hole?
Oh, it was like, say, 4 or 5 years ago. I just liked this new currency coming up, and I just went into read about it, Safedin's book, the white paper, and other stuff. So it really sounded interesting and something that nobody can control. So I just got into it a little bit, and then it just grew on me. It became more serious in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
I know the feeling. Well, yeah. So thank you so much for coming on our show. We're extremely excited to have you, and a quick explanation of the lifelines you have. You'll have 3 lifelines. There's Ask a Friend. There's the Mulligan lifeline, which is giving yourself a second chance in case you guess the incorrect answer. And then the third one is a Google it lifeline, where you'll get 30 seconds in order to Google as quick as you can, see if you can find the answer to the question. Most of these are going to be very difficult to Google, so we'll see if that actually ends up being a helpful lifeline. But nonetheless, you have it. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No. Fairly
All right.
simple. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into it with question 1. These will start easy, they'll get harder. Question 1. What is the original document that proposed Bitcoin, considered by many in this space to be a must-read? A, the Bitcoin white paper, B, the Bitcoin Constitution, C, e-money, Bitcoin and the blockchain, or D, the Bitcoin Manifesto?
Yeah, it's A, the Bitcoin white paper.
Final answer?
Yes.
All right, and that is correct. Question 2. What is the name of the Bitcoin exchange from Japan that famously collapsed in 2014 due to a devastating hack? A, BitTrade, B, Bitcoin X, C, Mt. Gox, or D, E-Trade?
It's C, Mt. Gox.
Final answer?
Yes.
And Mt. Gox is correct. All right, question 3. See, this is fine. This is easy. We'll see if it gets a little harder, though.
It will get harder, yeah.
What is the name of the off-chain scaling solution that is being developed to mitigate Bitcoin's fees and long transaction times? A, InstaSend, B, Second Layer Network, C, Lightning Network, or D, the Bitcoin Payment Network?
It's C, the Lightning Network.
Final answer?
Yes.
All right. And you are correct. All right, question 4. We should see a little jump now. Which of the following statements is not true about Bitcoin wallets? A, to open a wallet, you must submit a request to the wallet provider. B, wallets have addresses that anyone can use to see the current number of unspent Bitcoin in them. C, the only thing someone needs to access the wallet is the private key. Or D, it is possible to send Bitcoin by signing the transaction offline and then broadcasting the transaction later.
Yeah, it's A, to open a wallet, you must submit a request to the wallet provider. It's not true.
Final answer?
Yes.
And you are correct. All right, well done. We're on to question 5, and question 5 is a little bit of a bonus question.
Okay.
It's for 10,000 sats, but also if you answer this question correctly, you will receive from our sponsor Trezor a free Trezor Model T. So this is a little bit of a bonus question, and we'll set you up with our sponsor. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a great little prize. So question 5. The computers that find new blocks are called A, listening nodes, B, miners, C, mitigators, D, verifiers.
It's B, miners.
Final answer?
Yes.
You are correct. It felt like a bit of a trick question, huh? But it really was exactly what you thought it was. So question 6, and this is for 100,000 sats. Which of the following is not true about the Bitcoin Cash fork away from Bitcoin? A, Bitcoin Cash was created over an ongoing scaling debate within the Bitcoin community over scaling and transaction speed. B, the fork occurred on May 29th, 2017. C, Bitcoin Cash uses the SHA-256 hash function, the same one as Bitcoin. Or D, proponents of Bitcoin Cash included Roger Ver, Jihan Wu, and Craig Wright.
Okay, the answer is, I think it's B. The fork occurred on May 29, 2017. That's not true. It occurred later, I think around September, October time. I'm not sure, but it wasn't May. So I think it's B.
All right, and is that your final answer?
Yes.
You are correct. Well done, well done. Yes, the fork happened in, I believe, early August. I don't have the date right in front of me,
Okay,
but,
August.
right around then. So question 7.
Mm-hmm.
This is for 250,000 sats.
Oh, okay.
On what date did Bitcoin hit its all-time high exchange rate? December 10th, 2017, December 22nd, 2017, December 17th, 2017, or January 3rd, 2018?
Oh, that's a tough one. Because I don't look at price much. So can I take a lifeline here?
You can for sure take a lifeline. Which one would you like to use?
I'd like to use my friend who I have invited for this. So I'll ask a friend.
All right. And what's your friend's name?
His name is Robert Fontaine.
All right. Well, let's see if he is here. Robert, can you hear us?
Yeah, sure. Hi.
All right.
Hi, Robert.
Welcome. So we're going to give you about 45 seconds to discuss this question. And then after the 45 seconds is up, we're going to have to remute you. And Sunil, you're going to have to choose an answer or another lifeline, depending on how it goes. So You have 45 seconds starting now.
Robert, the question is, on what date did Bitcoin hit its all-time high exchange rate? December 10th, 17th, 22nd, or January 3rd, 2018?
I would say it's in December. Can you say the dates again? 17
It's
or
either
22?
10, 17, or 22. Yes.
I would say between 17 and 22. I would say 17. My feeling says 17. I'm not sure 100%, but I would say 17.
Okay.
What's your feeling?
I was thinking between 10th and 17th as well. It wasn't 22nd. It was too late by then. 10th or 17th.
All right, and your time is up. He's muted again.
Okay.
So you've got. It sounds like he was saying the 17th. You were thinking maybe the 17th too. Is that what you're thinking about going with?
And if I get it wrong, I can use the Mulligan lifeline, right? Afterwards.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay, let's go with December 17th. That is C.
December 17th, 2017. You are correct. Well done.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Robert.
Robert, great job.
Robert is also a French grandmaster of chess, so I was expecting him to get it right.
Well, he definitely is an expert at many things then, Bitcoin and chess. So well done. All right, question 8. This is worth 500,000 sats.
Wow.
What does an ASIC do for Bitcoin? A, allows consumers access to high-level investment information, similar to a Bloomberg terminal. B, allows users to trade cryptocurrencies between different blockchains. C, anonymously allows users to send cryptocurrencies that aren't entirely private. Or D, performs one specific task of solving a mathematical problem in order to find a new block.
It's D, performs one specific task of solving a mathematical problem in order to find a new block.
All right, is that your final answer?
Yes.
And you are correct. Well done. Question 9. You're one question away from the million. This one's for 750,000 sats.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Take a breath.
Yeah.
Is Bitcoin completely anonymous? A, yes, people who use Bitcoin cannot have their transactions traced by anyone. B, no, Bitcoin addresses are derived from IP addresses. C, no, all transactions are recorded on a global, digital, transparent ledger that can be traced using analytical technologies. Or D, no, addresses openly show the name of the user.
Okay. I'm not sure, but I can take a lifeline later. I think it is C, because Bitcoin is not completely anonymous. No, all transactions are recorded on a global transparent ledger that can be traced using analytical technologies. I think it's C.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right. And C is correct. Well done. All right.
Amazing.
So you are on the $1 million question. This is extremely exciting.
Oh, wow.
Question 10 for the million sats. What was the name of the pseudonymous developer who introduced and popularized the term user-activated soft fork, also known as UASF? Was it A, Whale Panda, B, Fluffy Pony, C, Shaolin Fry, or D, Rockstar Dev?
It wasn't A or B, I think it's either C or D, but I'm not sure. Can I use a lifeline?
Yes, you can.
Please, can I Google it?
You want to use Google it?
Yeah.
Okay, you are going to have 30 seconds to Google this question, and you can begin right now.
Thank you.
$20 seconds.
Okay, I think I've got the answer.
You think you got the answer? Do you need your other 5 seconds?
No, it's okay. I think it's C, if Google is correct. It's C, Shaolin Fry.
C, Shaolin Fry, final answer?
Yes.
And that is correct. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You won the million. You also got one Trezor Model T, thanks to courtesy of our sponsor, Trezor. And you have your million sats.
Oh, wow. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Yes, that's great.
Well done. Do you have anything you want to say before we sign off and call it a competition?
I'm very excited. It's a great idea, and right around the halving, so we are doubly excited about that. But also this sets, hopefully one day they will be bigger, and I'll use them to give to Trussell Trust. They are a very good charity in the UK. They help with the homeless, and they need it most during these times. So amazing. I'm really happy. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us. That's a beautiful idea to donate it to charity. And that sounds like a really great charity there in the UK. So thank you so much for joining us. Robert, thank you so much for joining us as well. And congratulations. You won 1 million sats and a Trezor Model T. So take care.
All right.
A brave new world deserves a brave new card. Introducing the world's first Bitcoin rewards card from Fold. Spend dollars and earn Bitcoin on every purchase you make. Pair the Fold card with the Fold app to supercharge the experience. Protect your privacy and keep your personal data safe. Fold puts you in control, not the banks. Welcome to the Bitcoin earning, privacy preserving card of the future. Welcome to Fold.
Replace your exchange with TradeStation Crypto. Dealing with multiple exchanges is complicated and it takes time, except with TradeStation Crypto. Because we are not an exchange, we are a broker. You have access to multiple pools of liquidity, all in one platform, in one account, one way. Trade crypto your way. Get started in one click.
There are many places to buy Bitcoin. They collect your personal information and jeopardize your privacy. KYC is the illicit activity. BISC is open source. It does not collect user data. You keep your private keys, create or take offers to trade peer-to-peer, and keep your Bitcoin private and secure.
Are we good? All right. Well, welcome everybody. I think you can see us all. I want to do a quick reminder before we jump into this panel that we have a giveaway going on. Bitcoin Magazine is giving away 100 free pizzas to people who retweet our tweet with the hashtag stack slices and hashtag Bitcoin Pizza Day. So make sure if you want a free pizza, we're handing them out, and make sure you tweet us. So let's go ahead and kind of jump into it. I'm super excited to have everyone here. I would introduce you guys. Most of you guys don't need an introduction. Actually, all of you guys don't need an introduction. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys give a quick rundown of what you're working on and what you're about. So Rockstar, you want to kick us off?
Sure thing, yeah. Go by a nickname Rockstar Dev. Rolling with a cypherpunk philosophy, and I'm working on BTC-based server, and it will be a year soon. I'm working with my man Jack Mallers, my nephew, on Strike. So that's the stuff I'm working on.
Awesome. Des, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I am VP of Business Operations at Lightning Labs. So yeah, I'm everything on the business side of the house, which is super fun. Big things going on there, and on top of the business type of things, I work on a lot of our Loop business development with Alex Bosworth, which is a super fun role. So yeah, I kind of do a lot of everything, and also I work on, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mint Gox. It's like kind of a event series showcasing gaming powered by Lightning and Bitcoin. So I've been working on that with the guys from Zebedee and Thunder Games and some other folks. So yeah.
I think Rod from our team got to compete in one of the tournaments, right?
Oh yeah. You guys have been involved. It's been fun. It's evolving. Like our next event, you guys have to join. We have like a whole custom VR room where you can like interact and like with like virtual Bitcoins and like crypto graffiti is like showing his art there. So there's like a virtual Bitcoin art gallery. So it's pretty cool.
That is sweet. We will definitely be there. So just give us all the deets, and we'll disperse the deets to everyone else too. Jack, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Jack. I am a trader. I like markets, but I'm probably most commonly known for my work on Zap and Strike and Lightning related stuff. And yeah, happy Pizza Day. Happy to be here.
Happy Pizza Day. Oh, I just got a Slack. Let me make sure I'm muting my messages there. And Samson, do you want to go ahead and give an introduction as well?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you great.
All right. So my name is Samson Mo. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Blockstream. Blockstream is a Bitcoin infrastructure company. We do a lot of cool stuff in the space. We have the Liquid Network. We have Blockstream Satellite, Blockstream Mining, C Lightning, Green Address, Green Wallet, and a ton of different products and services all built around Bitcoin and making Bitcoin more powerful.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, so excited to have everyone here. I mean, these are really some of the pantheons of Bitcoin payments projects today. So super excited to kind of nail into this ethereal topic that is Bitcoin payments and what is Bitcoin's role as a payment rail. So I want to jump in first to Rockstar. And this is kind of a question because I think we have a lot of people on this watching who maybe aren't as familiar or as expert at Bitcoin as most people. Hopefully there's a lot of kind of mainstream people tuning in for the pizza. So could you tell us a little bit about what most people think a Bitcoin transaction is versus what a real Bitcoin transaction consists of?
Sure, I can dig into that because I do believe, especially during the scaling wars, those years, the biggest problem is that Bitcoin is so many different things to all the different people, and because it's such a huge innovation that we've been trying to get rolling in the mainstream for decades. Now that it happened, now that Bitcoin is happening, it's being pulled in so many different directions, and it's still new piece of technology. You still haven't separated it into different subsystems that service different people. So I don't know, for majority of people, I think when they send a Bitcoin transaction, they don't even think about details of it, right? So when the fees start increasing, then majority of people go with the flow of why it is so expensive to send a transaction. While on the other hand, when you're starting to look into Bitcoin from technical side, you start realizing that anything that does get sent on Bitcoin blockchain needs to stay there until end of the time, which is a huge technical issue. So I would focus on not so much about talking about inputs and outputs, but rather throughout this conversation that we're having and when we are talking about payments, I would focus mostly on the talking about the need to separate payments from the base use case of Bitcoin blockchain, which should always be censorship resistance, preventing double spends and that kind of stuff. And I do hope when people, whenever you're sending a Bitcoin transaction, think about that stuff. Think about the fact that you're sending something without any third party, and that you have this awesome technology, awesome ability to do that without trusted third parties.
Perfect. Great. And so what you're kind of drilling into a little bit is the fact that, transactions can exist on the base layer, but they can also exist, in other places off chain. And one of the best technologies that we have right now, there's two big ones that are being developed right now. And I'm going to get to Des first and then Samson next. Des, can you tell us a little bit about, how does Lightning work? How do people think Lightning works? How does Lightning actually work? And just kind of give us a rundown of kind of Lightning and what's being done there.
Yeah, I mean, how do people think Lightning works? That's a really good question, and that's something I have been trying to think a lot about. When we talk to we've been talking to a lot of companies who either are doing a lot of stuff with Bitcoin but haven't even started thinking about Lightning. I mean, it's such an interesting population of people, and I think that people just think, oh yeah, Lightning, it's small micro transactions that are fast, which is totally true. And I think that's like really where like the novel use cases is like the low fee, super fast microtransactions. But once Wumbo officially comes along, we're not going to be held up by those constraints anymore. So Lightning kind of is a whole world of opportunities. But like in terms of how it really works, I kind of like there's a couple ways that people I think that analogies that resonate with people, and that's like the Visa for Bitcoin. You're not like it's like super hard to just like send someone a ton of cash, right? Like you have a bank account, it's even hard to send money that way. So Lightning can be considered like the Visa for Bitcoin. Another one that I think Elizabeth uses a lot is really like Lightning is kind of like the hypertext transfer protocol, or HTTP, where typically HTTP handles the delivery of web content, and it sits on top of like the TCP/IP protocols, whereas like Lightning is that protocol that sits on top of Bitcoin. So yeah, that's how we typically describe it. But as this community matures and more and more people are entering the possibility of using Bitcoin and Lightning, I like to frame it as a way of solving customer problems or business problems. And for us, like Lightning, like I think people get it. It's just like, wow, we can have fast, low fee, secure private transaction, and that's something that's new, and people it definitely resonates with people.
Absolutely, and that's really beautifully explained. I love that. I love the analogy as well with the TCP, HTTP kind of differentiation. Samson, do you want to jump in a little bit with Liquid sidechain? It's a newer entrant to the conversation, but I think a really cool one. So give us the rundown.
So Liquid's not that new, actually. We launched it in 2018. It's a inter-exchange settlement network. It's based off of sidechain technology. So it's built on Elements, which is a fork of Bitcoin. So as a Bitcoin sidechain, it doesn't have a native currency. So Liquid uses Bitcoin in the form of Liquid Bitcoin. And it's also a way to move things around off-chain. So for Lightning, you're moving it through channels. For Liquid, you're moving it as another state of Bitcoin, which is Liquid Bitcoin. So you have faster block times every minute, and you have transaction finality in 2 minutes. So you can do a lot of different things with Liquid. You can actually have a Lightning network running on top of a Liquid asset. So in Liquid, you can have multiple asset types. So you have Liquid Bitcoin as one. You can have stable coins like Tether, the Bitsy token, or anything else. LCAD, we have a Japanese yen stablecoin. But technically, all these different stablecoins can run their own Lightning network if they have enough liquidity, if enough people hold that asset. And we've already got Liquid Bitcoin working in Lightning channels, and I think we just have some more work to do to allow you to have a channel with two different asset types. So you have Liquid Bitcoin plus Liquid Tether, for example. But that can really change things up for payments. If you think about it from a high level, Liquid with its stablecoins and the Lightning network is a competitor for any Libra-like network that wants to do fiat-based payments for the world.
That's awesome. Sweet. So a follow-up question there is, as more dev resources are put into Liquid and it begins to really take off and like really start getting a ton of adoption and traction, where are you most excited about, or what are you most excited about that Liquid enables for Bitcoin?
Well, I think the biggest thing that Liquid enables for Bitcoin is the smooth flow of funds. So Liquid brings liquidity to Bitcoin. You're seeing whenever there's a bull market, we have problems with the network, congestion, fees getting bid up. Like right now, fees are high and people are starting to complain again. But we knew fees would go up, and it's totally predictable. But I think this will impede price discovery. If people cannot move their funds quickly from exchange to exchange, the network can become slow because traders will pay more for fees because they don't really care if they're paying $100 or a few $100s to move $1 million, right? But they're increasing fees for everyone else, including people that are using the Lightning network. And you can have things like forced channel closes down the road if that happens. But what Liquid does is it's a layer dedicated for financial transactions. So it's dedicated for moving Bitcoin or for liquid assets, and that alleviates some of that pressure on the main network.
Perfect. I mean, that's really cool and definitely going to be an incredible tool for adoption and kind of this next wave. So thank you, Samson. Yeah. Let's see it. So Jack, moving on to you. One thing, like I'm a relative newcomer to Bitcoin. I got here in 2017, but I've had a few moments where everything really clicked, and you get like the goosebumps when you kind of see it all work. One thing that I remember specifically was like the first time I saw someone use Polo feed, and I got to use it too, and it dispensed food to a chicken, across the world from me. Another time that I got goosebumps, I'm not gonna lie, was when I saw you demo Strike for the first time. You tweeted out the video. It was so freaking cool, and like my mind was just racing in terms of that sort of seamless interoperability and what that can enable. Can you walk us through what Strike is and what the potential you see for it for the masses?
Yeah. So Strike, you could think of Strike like a fintech neobank payment app, your Venmo, Cash App, a lot of these peer-to-peer payment applications, except it's built from the ground up to be interoperable with Lightning and Bitcoin. So you can send dollars over the Lightning network. You can connect your bank account and scan a Lightning QR code. You can receive Bitcoin to your bank account where you can post a Lightning QR code. And as Bitcoin comes in, your Chase account is getting credited with dollars. It's really destroying the barrier between the dollar and Bitcoin as a currency. And we use Bitcoin as a technology rather for settlement. And I think down the road, 5 years down the road, in hindsight, it'll look really obvious that any new payment technology and payment stack should be built from the ground up to remain interoperable with this open standard of value transfer that is Bitcoin. It's global, it's extraordinarily cheap, it's permissionless, it has unlimited incentives and benefits. And a lot of the existing payment stacks that we have today, they run into dead ends and serious trouble because they're all bifurcated networks. They're networks that can only talk to each other. And in India, we saw like the Bharat Pay standard QR code. A lot of governments are mandating standard interoperable QR codes and standards with each other so that we don't have a PayPal, a Venmo, a Cash App, a Zelle. And economies flourish when they're more efficient. And so, yeah, that Strike is to allow anyone really to interact with the Bitcoin protocol and benefit from the efficiencies with just a debit card or a bank account. So no volatility, no custody issues, anything like that. So I'm pretty excited about the potential.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And, you were kind of mentioning earlier, Uncle Rockstar, you've been helping out kind of build it as well. But you're also helping build BTC Pay Server. So could you tell us a little bit about like how BTC Pay Server has a similar vision or how it's tackling the problem from a different angle and anything you'd like to add about Strike as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like about Bitcoin community and the fact that we are building on open source protocol allows us to tackle the problems from different angles, right? Because when you talk about BTC Pay Server, that project is focused on Bitcoin creed when it comes to like sovereign individual, right? You as an individual have the technology stack that allows you to participate in this new global financial system. But that also takes, with great power comes great responsibility. You need to run your node, you need to run your stack, you need to understand how to configure it, you need to, make sure that your domain certificate doesn't expire, and so on and so forth. And I love my work on BTC Pay Server, and I love being part of that community, and especially having the ability to work on BTC Pay Server, and then also having the ability to contribute with Jack. I can tackle the problem from both standpoints, like 100%, in control of your stack, the way that, Bitcoin Crete goes with decentralization. So that's what I work on, BTC-based server. And then when it comes to people who want convenience, who want ease of use, who want a fantastic product designed by product genius that Jack Mallers is. Yeah, I'm just looking if I'm gonna get a smile or no. But yeah, like then, yeah, it's great. So I love that ability to like attack the problem for both angles. And I think when it comes to BTC-based server and Strike, it's compatible approaches. So yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. So to start this out, I wanted to kind of dig in a little bit to everyone's background and how each of you fits into this question, this puzzle of what, Bitcoin payments looks like and what it's ultimately for, and all those kind of questions that we want to get to. So to kind of transition into that next part of the conversation, I'm going to open these questions up a little bit to whoever wants to jump in. But my first question is, can you explain a little bit about what it's like to work on a layer 2, ultimately decentralized product that's on top of a decentralized product? Are there difficulties? What are the benefits? Just drill into it a little bit with me.
I'll go first. I think that there are clearly inherent difficulties in a protocol or an open standard that is new, that's in beta, that by definition carries a certain amount of risk and has only achieved a specific amount of scale. So there's of course a solid amount of risk, moving parts. You have to have a specific time preference and ability to iterate and be nimble. But I think a lot of the benefits are directly related. Like there's clearly a lot of upside and a lot of potential. I think that's why we're all here. It's really ambitious and it's a blast to be a part of. And I think in particular to Lightning, that differentiates it for me, developing versus the base chain, is that there's no sense of consensus. So at the base chain, we obviously come to consensus every 10 or so minutes, finding a block. And the incentive against having multiple implementations at the base layer is that a consensus level bug would split the chain, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Whereas with Lightning, that's not the case. There's no idea of consensus. So you're actually incentivized to take the open standard and make it your own. There's many implementations. There's many people doing different things, and everyone can go at their own pace, at their own speed. People can build Lightning with the ambition of integrating it into Liquid, and people can build Lightning with tools like Lightning Loop, and Async has their own thing. And I think that that's a huge difference between the base chain, as things move a lot quicker. Entrepreneurs have the ability to be much more creative and control their destiny a lot more. Whereas with something like SegWit 2x in the hard fork age of 2017, I think we saw a lot of companies that had their hands tied based on base layer development, and their business plans and fundraising didn't align well with Core's roadmap and everyone's ability to be nimble and adapt their changes. Whereas with layer 2, I don't think you'll see that. There won't be hard forks or large disagreements, because with layer 2, if you want something to happen, you can just fork an implementation and do it yourself, and there's no real risk there, and you're not going to split the chain. So I think that's been my experience.
I think like also, I feel like you're talking about like, Lightning or Liquid being like a further layer of abstraction, like on top of Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin's already like abstracted from like our traditional financial system and how we transfer value. And so I think that's just been so interesting, at least in some of the work that I've been doing. It's just seen like, I think these further levels of abstraction are allowing people to get really creative. And I know Jack just touched on that, but there's so many cool opportunities that people are taking, and things that they're playing with, like Yoast, Ollie, and myself on our team. We were like toying around with like TLV payments, and we created TLV shop, which was kind of cool. So, I think the further and further we get away from like just the kind of the framework of traditional finance and like step outside of those boundaries, like I think we're starting to see like a lot of really cool use cases come that are solving problems that we weren't really thinking about like when we were just on that one level abstraction with Bitcoin. I don't know, just something I've thought about.
You just mentioned TLV payments and TLV shop that you guys are playing around with. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, we actually closed it down now. If you go to tlvshop.com, it was really just kind of an internal project that we were working on. We were actually in Brazil before all of the coronavirus stuff happened. And Yost and Ollie were, thinking about like how can we have a 100% Lightning shopping experience. So it's like 100% pure Lightning shop. So really the only communication between buyer and the seller is a Lightning payment. So we were the seller and we were just selling these like run LND stickers that, thanks to Willow Barron for those, for creating that image. So yeah, I mean, it was just something that like, I don't, no one has ever really done. Like obviously there's a lot of like red tape around sending everything over Lightning, but it's something to play around with, and like that's what we like to do is like get like fun new ideas out there that like might inspire someone to create something like even bigger and better than just like a little project like TLV Shop.
That's so cool. I think my first purchase with Lightning was actually a sticker from Blockstream, now that I think about it.
Which one?
Stickers are the killer use case of Lightning right now. I can't tell you which one. It's on the back of my computer, so I can't show it. But
all right.
But yeah, Samson, did you have something to add? I kind of saw that you were maybe thinking about saying something there for a second.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with Jack. I think there's a lot more freedom to build on second layer and higher stacks. I mean, you can't really change Bitcoin easily. We can do a lot of stuff. We can experiment with Lightning. We can experiment with Liquid. We can actually try out new things that may eventually make their way to Bitcoin, like Simplicity, which is a smart contracting language we've been working on for a good couple of years now. But we're aiming to get that out in Liquid later this year. But it's just examples of things that can move a lot faster when you're playing with Lightning or Liquid than you can on the main protocol there. And the risk is a lot lower. I think you can break things, and it's not that end of the world or Armageddon-ish as compared to breaking something on Bitcoin itself.
Totally. Rockstar, do you have anything to add before we move on?
No, I think everybody on the panel covered it nicely. Like it's all about how we disconnect main blockchain from payments, essentially.
So I think that's a perfect segue then for kind of my next question, which is when someone asks, and I'm sure everyone gets asked this all the time, why can't I buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin? What is your response to those people?
Yeah, I come back to what I've said. It's just whatever data you're sending in Bitcoin blockchain needs to stay there until the end of the time. And it's just coming to distributed consensus is such a hard problem that it's quite unrealistic that we can be coming to distributed consensus on every single small transaction. And then I start talking about Byzantine generals problem, and people just say, forget I asked. So that's my experience usually.
Well, I think you can pay for a coffee with Bitcoin on the main chain if you want to. It's your choice. No one's saying you can or can't. It's just, does it make economical sense? And do you want to pay that much? And does the merchant want to wait that long? I mean, you could pay for a coffee with a piece of gold if you have a merchant that would accept it, right? So it's really up to you. I mean, you can pay with anything you want. Like people have complained because we accept liquid assets on the Blockstream store now that we're taking LCAD and other stuff, and they're saying, well, you're trying to encourage people to pay with liquid assets and liquid Bitcoin. But it's a fun thing for people to experiment with. If you have a little bit of liquid Bitcoin, there's no reason why you can't pay with liquid Bitcoin if you want to. The fees are still pretty low. I think we're at like 1 cent a liquid on-chain transaction right now, but it's just playing with the tech and experimenting with cool stuff.
Quick question real quick about Liquid in that scenario too. Does Liquid use proof of work as its consensus mechanism, or does it use something else?
It's a federated block signing. So right now there are 15 functionaries with a functionary box. It's essentially a black box they keep in their server room. There's no interaction with it. It just signs blocks in a round-robin fashion between the 15 members. If we have 2/3 or 11 of the 15 right now, then a new block is generated. So it's a pretty censorship-resistant network because they can't really tamper with the box or modify it. Or they could modify it, but they'd all have to modify it very heavily to affect the network and censor a transaction.
Gotcha.
Man, you actually need to give that proof of stake to Vitalik finally, like solve his problem. Because it's like proof of stake that actually works.
Yeah, well, we need to add sharding and a bunch of other things before he'll accept it.
Okay.
Got to get the Geth tree state prunings too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then another question about that then, because I'm learning here too. Do all the transactions then exist in Liquid's blockchain that happen
Yes.
on Liquid? Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Well, does anyone else have anything to add about the cup of coffee question?
I'll add something super quick. So I agree with Samson. Obviously, I think that anyone can spend Bitcoin on anything they'd like to. Now, whether it makes sense for them to do that, given the context, is another question. But Bitcoin doesn't have any rules, only the consensus rules. And as far as I'm concerned, coffee isn't in the consensus rules, so you could do whatever the fuck you want. But I think what's interesting is our approach to Strike. And one of the insights that I had when working on Zap is that Bitcoin itself has two unique value propositions that have really drawn its ever-growing user base over the last decade. The first one is wealth appreciation. So that's the classic use case is I buy it and I hold it and I get richer because I'm holding it. And that's been a proven valid use case over time, is that Bitcoin generally just goes up. And then the other one is its classic censorship resistant property, and the fact that it is a money that is digitally scarce and is not controlled by any central party. Now, however, doing something like buying coffee doesn't accomplish either of those, really. You don't usually need censorship resistance to buy coffee. And spending Bitcoin is almost always economically disincentivized because you're losing out on wealth appreciation by spending it. And so with Strike, the idea is that Lightning and some of these other layers have somehow ushered in a third value proposition to the asset. So people who are using Lightning through these custodial wallets, or even like half custodial, something like Breeze or a Syncs wallet, Phoenix, is they can see everything you're doing. However, it's non-custodial because you're routing through their channels. So people aren't using Lightning for privacy all the time necessarily. They're clearly not using it for wealth appreciation because they're constantly spending the asset. There's something about Lightning that's drawing in a new third user that we haven't seen in Bitcoin for 10 years. We're now 11th year, 12th year, and we're seeing a brand new user. And I think it's interesting with Strike, and why I would use Strike to buy my coffee is interacting with the protocols, interacting with Bitcoin, the asset, and the settlement rail is clearly beneficial, but I just get to use my dollars. I don't have to spend the Bitcoin I own. I don't have to sacrifice any of these other properties. And so I think that is interesting when people talk about spending Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as a payment rail. That's an insight I found fascinating, and it took me a really long time, but I think it's interesting.
So let me clarify.
How does Strike...
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to ask, how does Strike work? So I connect it to my bank account,
Mm-hmm.
and when I make the transaction, it debits and then credits to your service, and then you send it on through a Lightning payment to the merchant.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of complications in the trading. So obviously, if we get like $1,000 worth of sending Bitcoin, we then are inherently short $1,000 worth on our balance sheet. So as you all are using the app, we live trade that through algorithms, and we like automate our channel rebalancing and stuff like that. But yeah, and it works in the reverse too, so that if you were to have a tipping page and Bitcoin comes in, your bank account gets automatically credited as well. And so you can, envision a world where a Twitch streamer puts up a tipping page that's interoperable with Bitcoin. So whether you have a Bitcoin full node, a Lightning wallet, or any US dollar application, this person can get tipped, but they're receiving dollars no matter what asset is coming in. And then they take a linked debit card and they go buy groceries with that. And they're receiving global tips with no fees and no restrictions. It's pretty powerful. So
cool.
It's cool too, because it's you're right. It's like a different way of thinking about Bitcoin, right? To where instead of, if you're a Bitcoiner and you want to only interact with Bitcoin, it'll do all the fiat kind of work for you. And then if you're sitting in fiat and you don't really want to interact with Bitcoin, it can do all the Bitcoin work for you, right? I mean, is that a easy way to kind of simplify it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, again, like the main ambition is if you were to build Cash App again from scratch, how would you do it? Is you would ensure that from the base layer, it's interoperable with this new global payment standard, so that someone from Strike, like we have a lot of users in our current testing that are making remittance payments across the world. Cash App can't do that. In theory now, because of Satoshi Nakamoto, it's fairly trivial to send money anywhere in the world fairly instantly and for basically free. But we live now in this fintech world where all of these networks are bifurcated from each other. If I'm on PayPal, I can't pay anyone on Cash App. So that's the general idea is to make a Lightning QR code the singular interoperable QR code of the world. Because I think Bitcoin will underpin the value transfer for the next hundreds of years. And so anyone building financial stacks should build on top of them to start.
That's awesome. That's perfect. Well, great. So moving on then to a kind of another question that this somewhat leads into. In a perfectly scaled, hyper-Bitcoinized system, what percentage of transactions are happening on-chain versus off-chain? And this is, perfectly scaled in your own opinion.
I mean, almost all off-chain, I guess. Like, well, it has to be, by definition, a hyper Bitcoinization world where quite literally every single transaction that we all make today is using Bitcoin, the asset class, in like a non-custodial manner. Is that the question, basically?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some fuzzy math on some of the limits that the base chain holds, and then you can just divide, do total transactions we do as human beings divided by that number, and it's not going to be 1-to-1. So almost all would have to be some form of off-chain, unless we change the way we live.
Do you guys all kind of have consensus on that answer? Because I'll flip it to a different side of that question then, if that's the case. Does anyone disagree?
Well, I think if you say a hyper Bitcoinization world is like Bitcoin at a couple 100 trillion or more, then you'd probably be making billion-dollar transactions on chain at that point. Yeah, I think the bulk of it would be off chain, either in like a side chain or in Lightning, or even another method that we haven't built yet.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. So let me then try and flip this question on its head and ask it a different way. In this hyper Bitcoinized world, how often are your transactions that like a normal person would make? How often do those see the main chain? Is it like once a year? Is it once a week? Is it never potentially? What do you guys think?
I think it's question of method. Like we could potentially have the situation where individual is making transaction. I mean, he's making the on-chain, he's part of on-chain transaction in some manner. But it's a question of like, how do you structure it? Like, what is on-chain transaction of individual? Because in that hyper Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinization, like in that world, like if 99.9% of transactions are off chain in definition of like Lightning transactions, then yeah, he's not seeing it anytime. But if his transaction is a part of big bundle of transactions, then it is part of on chain. Like depends on how you structure it.
I wonder a lot too, like what type of user, like, in terms of the type of user whose transactions are happening all off chain, or what type of users having X amount of transactions on chain. I mean, like with a lot of these, like being involved in this like Lightning gaming community, it's been really interesting to see so many of the users who are playing these really early tests of these games, like with Bitcoin Bounty Hunt, and the majority of the play testers they've never used Bitcoin before, they've never used Lightning before, but like this is like as an in-game currency, it's so obvious to them, and so we're seeing like a lot of these users onboard directly to Lightning. Like they're using Bitcoin by completely skipping the step of like getting a Bitcoin wallet and even like doing any of that step, and so they're going directly to Lightning. So like I wonder if there's a type of user that like only ever operates on Lightning, and like they're not having to deal with like their own liquidity, like it all happens in the end, and then just like more of like merchants and like liquidity service providers and stuff are doing most of the transactions on chain. Like I wonder if like we'll see it split up amongst like user segments or something.
I think it's highly possible. Like Des is saying, there will be people that never experience a main chain transaction. They'll just be earning Bitcoin, spending Bitcoin in the circular economy that's all Lightning based, and they may never need to do it, except for maybe someday they want to put something into cold storage and they cash out, right? We had an April Fool's joke about having a side chain for Mars, but that's not that far. It's actually based on a lot of science. Like, how do you use Bitcoin interplanetary commerce, or even intergalactic commerce or whatever? And it would just be, you peg it in. That takes a long time, and in your local planet, you can just use it freely and on its own Lightning network on that planet too. But you might have the case down the road where a Martian colony never touches the Earth main chain. They're always on their side chain, and it's a rare occasion where both the planets settle up between each other.
Yeah, we actually had this whole conversation in our office not too long ago, talking about this exact question. If we're colonizing Mars, is there an inevitable like hash rate war between what Mars chain, Mars's Bitcoin and Earth's Bitcoin? If Mars starts optimizing its entire power generating structure around securing their own consensus blockchain, and all of a sudden there's more value being created in Mars, how does that put Earth's chain, and like with the distance between them, it's hard to achieve consensus, and you can see selfish mining attacks kind of going in either direction. It's a really crazy idea, but we also agreed that side chains and layered scaling is going to have to be part of the solution there.
Yeah, well, that's a challenge. Like if it's mined and it's split between the two planets, you can easily flip and have the network fall out of sync. So it's maybe better that all the proof of work mining is on Earth or in Earth orbit close by, and you have federated chains for other planets that sync up with the main chain. But one more thing too, I think you might have some baller Bitcoiners from this day and age, like maybe Jack. He'll just want to show off his bling, and he'll do a main chain transaction just for the fun of it.
Just for a rap video?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. My point on this topic was going to be, I think that this is a highly technical community and a highly technical project, but at a far enough scope, I don't think it matters. I don't think the difference if Bitcoin, the project, is going to scale to 1 billion people, I don't think it really matters whether a user ever touches the main chain or not. I think, it's just the system that has the defined characteristics for what they're trying to do is what they'll use, whether they know it or not. Hopefully they don't even know. And I don't think it's a super relevant. I know we've placed so much weight on it because of the scaling wars and stuff, but I'm not sure it's super relevant personally. It's all Bitcoin is my point, is like, there's no like layer 10, layer 1, layer 7. It's all Bitcoin.
I think all that matters is we fix the money supply and we get rid of the funny money, and everything is auditable. And that's basically all you need. And you fix the world.
Yeah, and I'll just close the conversation because we were talking about this Mars mining and stuff. We're gonna oppress Martians. We're gonna make Bitcoin mining illegal, like only on Earth. And because we're talking about hyper Bitcoinization, we need to mention citadels. So what I meant initially, like, if you're part of a citadel and you're making transactions within a citadel, then maybe your citadel will have on-chain transaction for all of you. But yeah, in the end, it's all Bitcoin. So.
It's interesting you bring up citadels, and this isn't part of my line of questions that I was planning on, but one thing that I've been thinking about a lot is in a trust minimized system that is Bitcoin. What is trust's role, and like how does trust still enable efficiencies to be introduced into the system? And I think citadels is kind of one of those things, but I don't know if you want to jump on that question at all.
No, I definitely want to jump on that question because trust is one of the most important concepts. It's like what makes us human. And like when I talk about citadels, I see that exactly as a area that you trust, because then within that area you can do all the stuff that makes us human. But Bitcoin is so great because it takes trust out of money. Like we had a whole history of trying to make money and trust work, and the first thing that you do, like, you have debasement of gold coins. Like emperors start saying, "Oh, if I just have this year to fix my, empire, like I'm just gonna introduce 10% copper to gold coins and nobody will notice, and then I'm gonna fix it." But yeah, universe doesn't work that way. Like entropy finds its way in, and then what's the saying? Like there is nothing more permanent than temporary government program. So yeah, like I do believe like citadels as an area of trust. I love that concept.
Does anyone else have anything to add there? Do you want to get the next question?
I have something to add on trust, not so much citadels. I'm not a big citadel guy, but I think trust in Bitcoin is a super interesting topic. And a point I like to make to people on Twitter that I fight with or whatever is, there's the crowd that gets really upset when someone isn't maybe using Bitcoin for full censorship resistant, is using custodial exchange, or the CME is my favorite, of people that get upset at others for using Bitcoin futures as opposed to Bitcoin spot. But I'd like to quickly point out someone like Paul Tudor Jones, like big investors like that, PTJ, that just made a massive investment in Bitcoin. He is not using Bitcoin for censorship resistance. Clearly, he's using Bitcoin as a speculative instrument, and he's using futures contracts. He's not even using the asset, but he is using a trustless nature of Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin supply is capped in a trustless manner that doesn't involve a third party. I promise you that if PTJ's hedge against global macro chaos the supply could be doubled overnight by some nerd in the basement, he wouldn't have invested. So there is plenty of even the digital scarcity trustlessness. All of these investors that are using custodial exchanges, they still are opting into the trustless nature of Bitcoin, which relies on a consensus of full nodes all over the world that's verifying that supply is capped and that blocks are valid. And so I think that there's an array of trust and optionality in Bitcoin. And if you want to, do something that's censorship resistant and buy drugs or whatever, you can. But you can totally also long futures on the CME and just rely on the fact that this is a digitally scarce asset that relies on no third party to govern that too. And I think it's the optionality that's really important, and that people are totally allowed to value Bitcoin in their own unique respects. And so I think it's an important point.
I like am spot on in agreement with Jack there. I think just have like Bitcoin itself being trustless and having that like that level of not needing to trust, like just inherently built into Bitcoin, leaves the optionality. And like that's exactly the word that I would use for it, like that Jack was getting at, because I think we think a lot of times, you know, like everyone cares, like everyone has the time to care. I mean, if you look at like for instance, I fly, like, well, not now, but I fly on planes, but I don't need to like go look at like the plane engine to like trust that the plane is going to work. Like I'm trusting in someone else to do that. But like if I'm like an Air Force pilot, like I'm probably going to need some level of trust to like fly these like insane missions. So I think it's like, you know, if we're going to like make this thing work for everyone and it's going to like scale to the point that everyone is using Bitcoin, like we have to open up to the fact that not everyone cares about censorship resistance. Like not everyone needs to know all of this stuff. So like, while yeah, like the people like us, like we need to care, and you know, like the trustlessness has to be like inherent in everything that we do. But that in us doing that, it leaves that optionality for other people to like come into this community to use it for the benefit that they want to gain out of Bitcoin. And so I think like, you know, pushing that on like everyone, it just basically shuts this off as like a technology that every person can use.
It's a great point, but let me play around with it and give you a counterpoint. So if you think about Bitcoin as like a revolution and ideologically fueled kind of change in the way in which money works, is there a danger or at least a loss of something when the, you know, percentage of people who don't like share those same values that really created Bitcoin in the first place start interacting with it? Like, do you lose something if it scales too large without people understanding why it was a thing in the first place?
I mean, I don't know. That's a great question. Maybe that's why we are where we are today with like the current monetary system. You know, like not everybody has the same values, but like I think that the hope is that, you know, like Bitcoin itself is trustless, right? And we're continuing to guide it in that direction. You know, what level, like what percentage of people need to like have those same values is a good question, but I don't know. I mean, like there's obviously a threshold. There's no really good answer for that. It's interesting. I'd be interested to hear what others think about that.
So I don't think that Bitcoin is actually trustless. I think there is still some element that you have to trust. You have to verify. I think verifiability is often downplayed, but it's actually more important than you think. In some ways, you're trusting the miners, but what's more important is that we can verify because we can run our own nodes. So if the miners are misbehaving, we can fire them and replace them with a new set if needed. And that was kind of what the UASF and SegWit2x stuff was all about. And it goes on in more. It applies itself in many situations. Like even for Liquid, we have a federation, and because anyone can run their own Liquid node, if the federation misbehaves, you can also fire them and replace them with a new federation. So I think it's really just about the ability to verify, and that needs to be more important, I think, for most people, because that is the reason why we keep things small, lightweight, easily runnable, rather than having it unwieldy and gigabag blocks and whatnot, right? It's that we want people to be able to verify. And not everyone will verify. Like we're talking about now, some people will get lazy and they won't run their own node. They won't store their own coins. They'll keep it in a custody service or whatnot. But there's really no one size fits all solution for Bitcoin. Some people may not be technical enough, and it is safer for them to use a service that helps them with custody, like Casa or whatever. Or maybe there'll be banks down the road that help people keep custody of their Bitcoin, but at least they'll still be able to verify and know that their coins are not being lent out or whatever, right? So I think there's like a big area for companies to grow into and provide these services, just because not everyone can do the stuff that we do because it's hard.
Yeah, Jack, man, like now that Samson is saying maybe we with Strike can be a first big Bitcoin bank. It's really kind of like that use case, right?
It'll be out tomorrow. Yeah.
No, but what you're mentioning, like the question that you started with, is this is something I've seen in every software system that I've architected. It's basically what we're also seeing with Bitcoin, is that you come up with a breakthrough, and then as that breakthrough is used more and more and more, then you start running into situations where simply complexity is increasing. And the only way to handle complexity is to fork, is to split a little bit. And what you were saying, like, will there be people that are left behind? And unfortunately, the way that I see situation unfolding is that absolutely, like, there will be a lot of people left behind, which is why I think all of us here are doing so much community work and talking so much in community to ensure like as many people, that to reach as many people as we can, so that they are not left behind. And I think Bitcoin as a powerful force will simply, like, it will end up like that. It's unfortunate, but I don't see it being avoidable, because it's going to change so many things. And yeah, I don't know. It makes me sad, man, when I think about it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer kind of sentiment, but you're right. I mean, it's impossible to create the utopian system that's decentralized and completely fair, where there aren't winners and losers, and everyone can't be a winner if there's no losers. So it's just it's the inevitability of inequality that's just going to exist in any system. That when you have a completely fair and the rules are in place and unchangeable, that means that it will lead to ultimately inequality and winners and losers.
Well, there is also the fact that a lot of people have a huge investment in legacy systems that are not as good. Like when you talk about Peter and gold, and cufflinks and stuff, it's hilarious, but it's simply sunk cost that people, they don't want to accept the fact that there is something way better now because of all the technology and all the developments. So what can you do in those scenarios? You can just keep going forward, because what is unrolling with Bitcoin will happen whether you're present or not. And it's just, we'll see, microservice the world. We'll split the whole world into smaller, more manageable pieces, because our societies are growing in complexity. And Bitcoin didn't happen because it's a magical moment of time. It happened because of all the problems of governments, governance, money, and so on and so forth. We simply need to make that next leap in complexity because of all the technology that we have in our world today. And Bitcoin is simply a solution, salvation. Like, it will allow us to make the jump, to the next big thing in our societies. And just how to make that transition is with as little pain as possible. That's what I focus on in my work. Yeah.
So digging into what you just said a little bit, I'm going to move this in kind of to part 2 of the conversation now, or I guess really part 3, where the guiding question is going to be, what are the topics that we never seem to get to talk about because we're too busy explaining the basic things that we always have to explain when it comes to Bitcoin? And that in and of itself is a question, but kind of the follow-up question that I have that I would like to kick us off with is, what happens economically when all friction is removed from a transaction? Thinking in terms of like an economy of flow instead of an economy of transaction packets, for lack of a better term.
That's deep.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't know. Still thinking. You can go first.
No, answering the second one, like what happens when, you remove any friction in these transactions, I'm kind of like, I wonder if everything like becomes a transaction with some sort of value. I mean, the one thing that just comes to mind is using Sphinx chat. I love using the app myself, but I think that there's just like so much there that, still has the opportunity of really being built out. But it's like, if I can make payments this easy, it's just like, I hate when people like send me a wall of text where you get like 12 texts and like in reality you're only sending one text back. And in Sphinx chat like completely disincentivizes that. So it's like, if we can do these like micro transactions like in an affordable way at super speed, like I just feel like maybe we'll get into trouble, but like maybe everything is going to become a transaction at some point if we make it that easy.
Who's going to jump in? Like, if you leave me, I'm just gonna talk about Brave New World, where money is not limited by government regulations and this and that and all the stuff that brings in. Because I really believe that governments right now are optimized to keep societies and countries together through the power of money. And once you take that away, you take away money as a system of control. I know if you'll have like what kind of riots and stuff you're going to have. So it makes me scared, and I do want to see peaceful transition, so my nephew is safe, and he can keep laughing the way he does now.
Rockstar Dev 2020.
Yeah.
I don't
honestly,
care if we're safe?
What?
You don't care if the rest of us are safe?
Well, I don't know, man. About you, Samson, I think you're taken care of. Desiree, like, we'll see. But yeah, I want her safe, definitely. Like,
I'm trying over here.
I've been thinking. It's late here, so my brain is not as fast. So if Bitcoin turned money into information, I think this fluidity of transactions will just turn more information into money, and it'll just become more and more seamless. I think there's an app now. It's called Juggernaut, right? It's using Lightning to provide end-to-end encrypted, onion-routed messaging, and that's combined with native payments. But I think this kind of a direction where every bit of information is a transaction, and there's like monetary value. You could it's like going into the blockchain territory, but there's all these blockchain projects that promise you that you can own your own data, but it's really a dumb idea. But with this model, with Lightning turning information into everything into a transaction, then you can really do kind of a piecemeal, micro-controlled flow of your data in return for money or as a payment too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. And we don't have many peer-to-peer systems today. And it's like, well, if you can start with a peer-to-peer value system, then all other peer-to-peer systems can somewhat, and I'm summarizing basically what you just said, but like all other peer-to-peer systems can be built using the value layer at its base. And so I don't know. Like I asked this question, I have no idea what the answer is. It's kind of the stuff that I like to gnaw on when I'm falling asleep. But when we're building this new decentralized world, I don't think we've had enough conversations about like removal of friction and what everyone's day-to-day life looks like. I was talking to the guys in the office. One thing that I'm wondering about is, does your net worth become a slope? Like, really, is it an outputs minus inputs kind of I'm aggregating X amount of value per second, and that's what it looks like. And, I can effectively allocate my spends based on what my, stream of money flowing into my wallet is. Is everything a subscription at that point? I have no idea. These are kind of the things that we like to toss around in the op-ed.
If I may jump in on that, because your original question, you also asked like, what is the underrated part of being a Bitcoin community, like, and this whole conversation. And I think that ties into this second answer, is also like the most underrated part of being part of the Bitcoin community to me is that everybody sees the conflicts and, Twitter fights and all that stuff, but you don't see all the good work that's being done in the background of that. So for me, all those fights that bubble up like publicly, behind them there is a tons of great work that's done in private that nobody's seeing, or not a lot of people are seeing. And being able to be part of that is phenomenal. And I would encourage everybody, like, jump off this stream and find your group of people and start contributing to Bitcoin, because it will tie you into this second part of your question, which is like, what does that tomorrow with new global financial system look like, and I even like sometimes think, who cares, man? As soon as we get the money out of governments and make it a microservice that you can directly access, you're having so much new value created, because money as a service of government is so expensive, and you have so many things there in order to like make that system run, and you have this leech, that leech, this problem, that problem. Samson, yeah, too hot talk for Samson. Yeah, he's gone, man. Yeah, but I like to think about that world of tomorrow where money is taken out of governments as a world of opportunity, like where you don't even think about those small slopes and stuff. Like, you just have so much extra value by the fact that money is a microservice that's serving you as an individual. And I think like small oscillations won't be as big of a problem.
So you mentioned something that you actually, by mentioning it, said you didn't think was an important question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Sure. And that is, in the next, welcome back, Samson. In the next 2 years, what do you see like the biggest changes in Bitcoin's ecosystem looking like? Like, what are the things that you're watching out for? And I want specifically in the next 2 years, because I see that as like the next wave of massive mania and hype around the technology.
I'm always a careful guy. I mean, people who know me can vouch for that. But the thing that I'm mostly looking into is like when the governments will actively start to fight us, man, because it will be a hard fight. And I'm hoping that most governments will take, I don't know, benevolent approach, in essence, like, let's figure this one out together, instead of just trying to enforce the control over money and monetary supply and this and that. So that's the thing that I'm looking mostly toward, because I think Bitcoin will keep going regardless of my individual input or a lot of people's individual input. So that's what I'm mostly focused on.
Can I just go back a bit? I just got cut off earlier,
sure.
And I wanted to add something. So yeah, I agree with Rockstar that there's actually a lot of work being done behind the scenes that people may not notice. But one example is Lightning Network itself, right? It's a collaboration between multiple teams. You have Blockstream, Lightning Labs, Async, and I think there's a few other teams now too, all working on Lightning stuff at the protocol level. And then we had that collaboration with the BTC server to roll out pay-to-endpoint. And now we see that picking up steam too, with a lot of other wallets out there, Wasabi, Blue Wallet, and all this stuff. It doesn't really get talked about But what we do see is we're all working to move the ball forward and bring about this change in the world that hopefully will make it better. But I think it's underappreciated how much coordination and cooperation there really is.
Absolutely. And Jack, Desiree, do you have anything to add there?
Man, I mean, I just like stay off Twitter now. I mean, there's just like so much fighting. Like there's just so much work to be done. I'm like, it's such a distraction. And I think everybody on this call is like all about building and like moving this thing forward. And that's what's so great. And I feel like we're like moving towards that. Like this is like the space is maturing where it's like I see like less petty fighting and a little bit more, like actual genuine discourse, which is like it's great to disagree. Like that's the only way that you make progress. Is by disagreeing and finding a way forward. So I think that's hopeful. And then to your other question, in 2 years, like I think that's, who knows? Like hopefully we'll be, making like a hockey stick of progress. I would like to see this stuff like in the hands of like, your everyday person. But I think like with stuff like Jack is working on, like these type of like these neobanks that seem to be like popping up everywhere, like inserting Bitcoin into those is just like such a great way to get these into the hands of our everyday users. And I think, a big part of that is like the whole like UI UX, and, making these things available for people to use, because before it's been like very difficult if you can't do this shit in the command line. So yeah, hopefully in the next 2 years, like that's what I'm hoping to see anyways.
You bring up a funny point. I just wanted to add anecdotally. I don't know if you guys saw the video that kind of pre-rolled this, but it was Aaron describing the Laszlo buying the pizzas and the reason why we're all here for Bitcoin Pizza Day. But one of the interesting things is when Laszlo was one of the first miners to use a GPU as part of his miner, and when he was doing it, he was taking GPU cards out of systems, stacking them into a tray, and in the command lines, like making this miner just mine Bitcoin. And to think of how far we've come from that 10 years ago to you can go online and buy a miner and plug it in and not even think about it. And farms are doing that. And it's crazy to think how much we've grown in 10 years. So when we're talking about 2 years as being like, oh, it's just 2 years, we'll look at the past 10 years. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think
definitely.
For my 2-year prediction is maybe going to be outside the scope of this panel, but I expect Bitcoin to be $1 trillion asset within 2 years. And I think that's going to be a huge milestone for the asset class as a whole. And we're like gradually certifying it as a mainstream term, a mainstream asset, mainstream technology. And I expect Bitcoin to take its next step, almost like turning 18, turning 21, like you get new rules, new qualities as a person. That's what I expect. I think we still have a long way to go as a payment rail, but as an asset class, I think we're knocking on the door of becoming part of everyone's portfolio as $1 trillion asset class in the midst of some macro turmoil. It's can't write a script better than this.
Yeah,
it's a crazy time for all of it to be happening. Samson, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to give you my 2-year prediction. So I think 2 years is pretty fast in Bitcoin years. I think. I think we'll have some significant improvements on privacy and fungibility. We're already seeing that the tip of that iceberg right now. That those same kind of privacy improvements will come through in Lightning as well with blinded paths. That's something we're working on with async. But also usability, like what we were talking about earlier, right? Like it's getting better and better. And I think we'll make some significant advances in the next 2 years. Like what I like about Strike and Jack stuff is it's so simple. It just works. And that's what we need more of in this space. Wallets need to be very easy to use and they just need to work. Because no one really wants to fidget around with stuff. They just want to send. And I think maybe in 2 years we'll have wallets that can decide, do I make an on-chain transaction or a Lightning transaction, and just kind of remove that complexity from the end user's point of view and just make the transaction for them. Bump it RBF if it needs to or whatever. But we'll have more intelligent wallets and easier to use Bitcoin.
I mean, that's a fantastic vision. If that's around in the next 2 years, then man, we've done some really great work. So this kind of actually leads into one of my last questions here, which is, so a unique facet of the conversation is that we right now have just entered Bitcoin's fourth epoch. We're liking to use in Bitcoin Magazine the epochs, right? So Bitcoin's fourth epoch. Last epoch was SegWit, ICO craze, failed Bitcoin forks, Lightning, Liquid. All these different narratives kind of emerged. What do we want the narrative to be coming out of this next epoch?
I'll go first. I don't know if it's what we want, but I kind of agree with Rockstar that we're going to see nation states tread in to Bitcoin turf, whether we like it or not. I don't think I have a more optimistic view than him. I think the power of human greed and the greed of nation states will make it a smooth transition. They'll just want Bitcoin. They won't want to do anything nasty. Maybe some countries will, but I think the freer countries will just kind of ease into it, and it'll just be a natural transition. We're already seeing, I think, several countries talk about mining Bitcoin. Iran is one. I think Ukraine was another one talking about mining Bitcoin. But it's a nice way to transition in, and I think that's going to be the narrative for the next epoch.
Yeah, you make me think about, like, people always thinking about, if Bitcoin is ready for the world to, get in. And I'm thinking if, the world is ready for Bitcoin, because imagine that world in which, nation states like Iran are mining Bitcoin. It is completely new geopolitical landscape. And that's the stuff that I'm thinking about. But I'll go with your optimistic approach, and Samson, man. Like, I hope for that in the end.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be like the government aspect can be positive over the next 2 years. I mean, don't governments have like a lot of other things that they need to be dealing with at the moment? So maybe we can like make some progress, and they'll just like be overwhelmed and accept Bitcoin with open arms. Like, that's like my dream.
Yeah, we'll hope for their incompetence. We'll be like, yeah, keep being busy. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Samson, and I'd go as far as to say that the game theory disincentivizes you to compete against Bitcoin. So I think all it takes is someone like Iran to mine Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden, if you fight it, everyone has somewhere to run to, and you're just going to push innovation and any positive outcome outside of your nation state. And I believe nation states compete. So not only do I think Samson's right, but I think there's some borderline factual ground for that speculative opinion to stand on. And then I also think that'll be a huge one. The $1 trillion asset one will be massive. I think the investor landscape right now, Bitcoin is held majority by retail investors and hedge funds, like not real ones. And I think who holds the asset and who uses the asset will change drastically. And then I think we'll start to see Bitcoin as a technology, as a settlement rail, used more widely. I think all of the applications and development done on Bitcoin is for Bitcoin to be used as a money. And I think we'll start to see Bitcoin be used more as technology over the next 4 years. That would be my guess.
So the government angle actually gets me into a next question that let's just see what you guys think. I have a statement Bitcoin is not digital gold, it's digital oil. And digital oil will inevitably cause the geopolitical ramifications that physical oil did. Agree or disagree?
Well, what ramifications do you mean for physical oil? That
Well, I guess
you have OPEC.
Well, I mean, in thinking about the way that the power structures of today exist and how much oil and the location of it and which countries had it and which countries didn't played a role in kind of the way that the geopolitics is shaped today.
So you mean like if you have a foundry and you can make ASICs, then basically your country can produce Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting to think and consider the game theory aspect of it, right? But I think we are in a world where we need to trade with one another. And as long as there's trade and there's apolitical money, which is Bitcoin, I don't see those same power structures emerging just because you'll need stuff. You need raw materials. You may not have the rare earth minerals or elements and whatnot to even make ASIC chips if you wanted to. You might need to buy them from someone else. So as long as you need to trade and you have this apolitical money, people, funds, stuff will just flow across borders. And that's also why I think we'll have a peaceful transition, because as long as you want to buy something, then you kind of need to cooperate, right? Like if your country's fiat currency collapses, you'll need to convert your resources, whether it's hydroelectric or whatever, and get Bitcoin so you can buy something else from another country. So that's why I think we will have a nice transition as we get to hyper-Bitcoinization.
Yeah, I agree. I also I think that the analogy isn't perfect in that you can more freely compete, that there is like a fiscal advantage to oil, like if it's under you or whatever you right. Like I think yeah, I think it'll be much more peaceful than people anticipate. I think the game theory, it works in our favor. And I like the digital gold comparison preferably, personally.
Any thoughts, Rockstar Desiree? Well, cool. Well,
we're supporting other panelists, man. My face is covered, but I'm having the same expression as Desiree. So,
gotcha. Awesome. So, kind of to wrap this all up, I have like a couple last questions, and they're pretty quick, I think. The first one is, where should talent or interest be pointed to in the ecosystem today? What are the problems people need to tackle today with Bitcoin?
I think there's a lot of financial infrastructure to be built, like stuff Blockstream is working on. I think is really important. Building an environment for traders so that the switching cost from traditional markets to this market isn't expensive. And I think a lot of user research needs to be done. I think a lot of engineers in this space build things because they technically can exist. And I don't think we really as a community know what there is that needs to be solved as far as products go, and what Bitcoin is solving for the individual on the other side of the screen and what they're looking for. And so those are kind of the two I see as the most prominent. And of course, like outside of, Bitcoin Core is the most important project arguably in the world. So I think that's an easy answer. But as far as, forward-looking entrepreneurial acts, I think that the exchange space has a lot to, it's easily like probably the most valuable subsector of the industry. And there's a lot of improvements to be made there. And then there's a subsector of the industry that doesn't quite exist yet, and that is, in my opinion, sort of the wallet space, the application space. It exists to the sense that there are apps, but I don't think there's a defined user. I don't think that there's a necessary successful wallet or product that has achieved scale and solved the real problem. I think a lot of the new features are just recent LND releases, just implementing whatever Lalu built. And I don't think that it's necessarily helpful all the time. And so doing some research and understanding why people use Bitcoin, the benefits from it, who's on the other side of these screens, and what are they looking to achieve. I think we have a lot of work to do in that realm. And maybe the harder thing is to understand what to build and not if you can build it. I think it's a lot of like weightlifting, engineers versus engineers, like who's a better coder. And I think the success will probably be in who can understand what to build, not who has the better chops to build it.
I couldn't agree more. That's something that, we are thinking about. That's something that I am actively tasked with working on. I mean, for us at Lightning Labs, our customer is more so the business is building on LND rather than like an end user. And I think both are building for both is super important, and not just building for ourselves. For us, it's like important to know what our users want and need and like build towards that rather than, like you said, just building the things that we want to build. And I think we've seen what that looked like. We're trying to pivot that way. And I think that's important, for these like secondary companies as well that are building directly for the end user, is really figuring out, really building products that people want, not just like building for the sake of building. I think there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out of some of like these hackathons, and there's always cool new projects popping up. But I think like this has been largely like a really fun, like open source, big R&D project for a really long time, and it's like there's kind of like a little bit of a change happening now where people are thinking more about like making this thing real, like making real businesses. And in order to do that, you really have to build for your customer and your user base. So I couldn't agree with Jack more.
Yeah, and I would just jump in there because I can build on what Desiree said. It's perfect segue, because I focused mostly on tasks rather than like bigger vision, and I wanted to use the opportunity to say, like, I work or try to work with a lot of new developers that want to come in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So if you're in that position, like, feel free to message me either on Twitter or at chat.btcpayserver.org. Like, I love talking with people who are like good developers and they want to get into Bitcoin. So I try to point them in direction where I think their talents can be best used, because as Desiree said, like, we need to get to the point where it's approach with intent, like you're building some stuff to serve the end user. So if you're struggling to find your place, just message me. I'll see if I can point you in the right direction.
That is a golden invitation. I hope people take you up on it, because that's awesome.
Yeah, man, you don't want to see my DMs there.
Samson, you want to tackle it?
I think it's one area we need help with is UI UX, making things easier for people to access. And I think Square Crypto is doing some good stuff. I think Jack said he wants to bring on, a team of 5 + 1 designer, and that's the kind of thinking we need in the space, like being user centric. And as Des said, we need to build products that people want to use, and that's a key part of it.
Perfect. Beautifully said. So we've gotten through my laundry list of questions. We've got about 5 minutes left before we got to pass it back on to the team. Do you have any outstanding questions about Bitcoin payments, value transfer that you wrestle with personally? And then on top of that, like, is there any final piece of wisdom you'd like to leave the audience with?
Yeah, no wisdom from us, man. Like this panel, what is this panel? No, I'm joking. Like I've loved being part of this panel, and I think we tackle like a lot of topics in a nice way. And uh, the main topic was payments, but I think we tackled it in an unorthodox way while explaining the main thing, which is how do we disconnect that main blockchain and the payments itself, because that's when this thing will really take off, because Bitcoin will succeed without payments. Jack was having a way better like explaining than I'm doing right now, so anybody wanting to get into that subject, rewind and listen to that talk he had again, because I think it hits the main point. Bitcoin as an asset class will succeed. We just need to upgrade the payments to follow that.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I mean, words of advice are don't trust, verify.
Yeah, I'm just like, my only wisdom is just keep building, like avoid the trolls, just keep building. That's like really my motto at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add. That was great. Keep it simple. Simplicity usually wins. That goes for UI, UX, but also simply buying Bitcoin and holding it and remaining a part of this thing. So, hodl on, comrades.
Beautiful. And so lastly, where can everyone find you?
This is my real name, Jack Mallers. So it's on the internet everywhere. Unfortunately, I didn't have the brain power in 2013 to be a pseudo. So just full name all over the place.
Rockstar Dev at Twitter, man. When you search Rockstar Developer, I'm even now trending with Google. So yeah, go on Twitter and then we'll take it private, even on Telegram or chat.btcpay server or Zap Slack. I love that one.
Yeah, I'm Dickerson_Des on Twitter. Just basically lead with a horrible last name. Didn't think that one through either. But yeah, I'm also like on Slack, mostly the L&D Slack. But yeah, just shoot me a message. Please keep the DMs PG. Also shoot me an email as well, Desiree at lightning.engineering.
Okay. On Twitter, I'm Excellion. That's Excel Lion. And my avatar is a cartoon lion. My DMs are closed, but you can DM not Grubbles. Feel free to DM Grubbles.
That's great. That's great. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I think this was an incredibly interesting panel. Super grateful for you all to take the time to discuss Bitcoin as a payment rail and really Bitcoin as a topic in general. We got through a lot. And yeah, I mean, so excited to have you guys. Make sure you're eating some pizza today. It is Bitcoin Pizza Day. Bitcoin Magazine, we're giving away 100 pizzas today. If you haven't already, this is to the viewers now. If you haven't already, make sure you retweet our stream with the hashtag Bitcoin Pizza Day, hashtag Stack Slices, and we'll make sure that we DM you and get you your Papa John's pizza code. And also, I know Samson's kind of late. Rockstar, you got your pizza. Des, Jack, if any of you guys want a pizza, hit us up. We'll get you your pizza.
Awesome.
Sound good?
Happy pizza
Thanks, Brandon.
day.
Will do, man. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Throw it back
Bye.
to the team.
Bitcoin Pizza Day. It was the spring of 2010. Bitcoin was little over 1 year old when Laszlo Hanyecz, a programmer in his late 20s from Jacksonville, Florida, stumbled across the new type of digital currency. He wanted to try his hand at generating some new coins, mine Bitcoin. And while most miners these days were using their CPU, their computer's processor, to mine Bitcoins, Laszlo figured that his graphics card, his GPU, would actually be much better at the job. It worked like a charm. Benefiting from the performance boost, Laszlo soon generated thousands of coins a day, a significant chunk of all newly mined Bitcoin. This led Laszlo to the logical next question. what to do with the coins. At this time, Bitcoin were nearly worthless, trading for fractions of a cent, and often even given away for free. It was essentially play money, if it could be considered money at all. As far as known, no one had actually bought or sold anything for Bitcoin. Laszlo was about to change this. On May 18th, 2010, he took to the Bitcoin Talk forum and started a thread titled Pizza for Bitcoins. He wrote, "I'll pay 10,000 Bitcoins for a couple of pizzas, like maybe 2 large ones so I have some left over for the next day." After a few days of no takers, it was May 22nd when Laszlo showed up in the thread with an announcement that would go down in Bitcoin history. "I just wanted to report that I successfully traded 10,000 Bitcoins for pizza," Laszlo wrote, adding photos of 2 Papa John's pizzas as proof. 18-year-old Jeremy Sturdivant from Britain had taken up Laszlo's offer over IRC, the chat program still popular among hackers. Jerkos, as he was known in the nascent Bitcoin community, ordered 2 pizzas online for some 25 or 30 bucks, paid with his credit card, and had it delivered to Laszlo in Jacksonville. In return, he received Laszlo's 10,000 coins directly in his Bitcoin wallet. With Laszlo and Jeremy's deal, the first ever recorded Bitcoin purchase was a fact. A major milestone for Bitcoin. Little did Laszlo know, Bitcoin itself was just about to go on a wild ride. By today's Bitcoin prices, the pizzas cost Laszlo roughly $100 million. But this has never fazed Laszlo. "I wanted to do the pizza thing because, to me, it was free pizza," he later told Bitcoin Magazine. "I mean, I coded this thing and mined Bitcoin and I felt like I was winning the internet that day. I got pizza for contributing to an open source project. Usually hobbies are a time sink and money sink, and in this case, my hobby bought me dinner." Laszlo's hobby bought him dinner, and a place in Bitcoin's annals of history. 10 years down the road, the milestone purchase is commemorated each year with its own Bitcoin holiday, celebrated by a global community of eccentric digital currency enthusiasts, following in Laszlo's footstep, ordering pizza with Bitcoin on that same day. May 22nd is Bitcoin Pizza Day.
brave new world deserves a brave new card. Introducing the world's first Bitcoin rewards card from Fold. Spend dollars and earn Bitcoin on every purchase you make. Pair the Fold card with the Fold app to supercharge the experience. Protect your privacy and keep your personal data safe. Fold puts you in control, not the banks. Welcome to the Bitcoin earning, privacy preserving card of the future. Welcome to Fold.
Replace your exchange with TradeStation Crypto. Dealing with multiple exchanges is complicated, and it takes time. Except with TradeStation Crypto. Because we are not an exchange. We are a broker. You have access to multiple pools of liquidity, all in one platform, in one account, one way. Trade crypto your way. Get started in one click.
There are many places to buy Bitcoin. They collect your personal information and jeopardize your privacy. KYC is the illicit activity. BISC is open source. It does not collect user data. You keep your private keys, create or take offers to trade peer-to-peer, and keep your Bitcoin private and secure.
Are we live? I'm listening into the team over here. Are we live? We're live. Okay. All right. So welcome. You may remember me from just a second ago. I just had a great panel with Samson, Jack, Rockstar, and Dev. Now we're going to do a little bit of trivia. We're going to give away some free pizzas. We're going to have a little fun. I am looking in our Periscope right now. That's what we're going to be playing. If you're not on a Periscope and you want to win a free pizza, got to log in there. What we're going to do, I'm going to ask a question. Whoever types the answer in the Periscope first, we're going to send you a DM. We're going to find you. We're going to send you a DM of Papa John's pizza code, and you're going to get a free pizza. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day, guys. So, hey, I see you right there, Victor Anakim. I see you. So we're playing. We're live. So let's go ahead and get started with our first question. Question number 1. What was the name of the developer who bought the pizza that created the sensation that is Bitcoin Pizza Day? Go. We're going to have like a 15-second delay here, so the suspense can really be built up while we're waiting for the first answer. And let's get some thumb exercises in while we're getting these answers out there. All right. Is this a stump question? You seen anything over there? Seeing some hearts. Not quite Jerkos. The name of the person, the developer who bought the pizza with Bitcoin. This is an easy one. We're starting out easy. There we go. All right, Laszlo. That is Sida Dedidius. That is correct. All right. So, question 2. Ooh, I hear my echo. Got some pizza here too. On what date did Laszlo announce that he had successfully purchased 2 pizzas using Bitcoin? Give me the date. I want the month, the year, and the day. You don't have to give the day of the week, though. Let's see here. I love this delay. I get to eat some pizza while I'm waiting to see what you guys say. I see Chuck Bell in the Periscope. Welcome, welcome. 22nd of May, 2010. That's correct. Marcel. You see Marcel? Marcel, we are sending you your code now. All right. Question 3. From what company did Laszlo order his pizzas? This should be an easy one. I mean, we're not hiding exactly who is whose pizza we're helping give away here. So let's see what you guys come up with. I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Bitcoin Magazine Pizza Company. Papa John's, that's correct. But you just answered correctly. So Too Salt, Too Furious, you are correct. Papa John's is the pizza company. I'm talking with my mouth full, but I'm hungry. All right. Question 4. True or false question. True or false? The toppings on Laszlo's pizzas included olives, peppers, ham, and pepperoni. Another pizza. All right, here we go. And Marcel, you're killing this, but you already won your free pizza. Do you want to? Should we give him another free pizza? All right, Marcel, you get another free pizza. Marcel, you're correct. It is true. He had all those toppings. He had a smattering of toppings. Looked like some sort of work pizza going on there. It looked really yummy. But I'm more of a veggie guy on my pizza. I love some pepperoni, but I love some olives. I love some peppers. I love it all. Question 5. And we got a note from our team. Make sure that you have your DMs open and you're following us so that we can DM you your pizza. So, you know, if you're not following us and you're playing along, come on, give us a follow. Give us a follow. All right, question 5. How many Bitcoins did Laszlo pay for his pizzas? This should be, you know, also kind of an easy one. We're going to get a little harder, though. It may take you, oh my gosh, I didn't even get a chance to bite that. Oh, this is literally the same kind of pizza that Laszlo originally got. I don't know if you can see it in there. Yeah. All right, what do we got? What do we got? Marcel, dude, you are killing it, Marcel. Well done. We got B1010C, also correct. Cam coming in after Marcel. I mean, Marcel, you're going to end up with like 1,000 pizzas by the end of this. So, but, you know, well done. 10,000 pizzas is correct. Technically, if you want to get real technical, he also paid a transaction fee on that we may get to later, but 10,000 is right enough. Question 6. Who was the first person to congratulate Laszlo on his pizza purchase on Bitcoin Talk Forum? This is a good one. This is interesting. I don't know if you guys are going to know this off the top of your head. You might need to go check it out. Show us the pizza. All right, real life CK. This is the pizza. I am eating it. Who was the first person to congratulate Laszlo on his pizza purchase on the Bitcoin Talk Forum? No right answers yet. What's up, Packbets? Packbets23? I see you. What's up? First person to congratulate Laszlo. This person that congratulated Laszlo, sorry, I'm reading your messages on Periscope, is an absolute legend of Bitcoin. So he's a pretty cool character. And we got a correct answer. All right. You are correct. Sirius, a.k.a. Marty Malmy, was the first person to congratulate Laszlo. That's B1010C with the correct answer. Also see Much Bitcoin at Much Bitcoin with the correct answer there. Congrats. Let's get you guys some pizza. Next question, true or false? So guess quickly. True or false? Laszlo paid over 1 Bitcoin in transaction fees for his pizza purchase transaction. True or false? Bonus points if you can tell me what his transaction fee actually paid was. Bonus points being a bonus pizza. Peter Marshall, yo. I'm seeing a lot of incorrect answers. Peter Marshall with the correct answer. The answer is false. He paid point. Well, I guess I shouldn't tell you yet. You know it's a point. Let's see if anyone can actually give us the correct transaction fee. It's less than 1 Bitcoin. Peter Marshall got it right. Chuck R. Bell got it right. And of course, Marcel got it right. Don't want the transaction fee in cents. Let's get it in, oh my gosh. Let's get it in Bitcoin. Anyone know? Not 0.00649. You may have to do a little digging on this one. Might need to dig into blockchain.info or somewhere to go monitor the blockchain, but it's a good one. I'll give you guys like 5 seconds to answer this, and we're going to move on to the next question. So you better be furiously typing. You got 5, 4, 3, not 0.00001, 2, 1. No one got it right. Okay. The answer is he paid 0.99 BTC in his transaction fee. He almost paid a Bitcoin, but he did not pay a Bitcoin. Good for you for saving those transactions. Oh, B1010C got it right at the last second, but we closed it down. You also already have a pizza, so you are good. Yeah, 0.99 BTC. Pretty high transaction fee nowadays. All right. Question 8. What reason did Laszlo cite for why he purchased 2 pizzas instead of 1? This is kind of a funny question. I don't know if you guys have read his actual post, but he was like, I think I want to buy 2 pizzas, not 1 pizza, because anyone remember? Anyone know? Anyone want all this pizza that I'm eating? There's just so much pizza. Too Salt, Too Furious. You get the code by answering a question right and opening up your DM so we can send you the code. All right. PackBets got it right. Marcel got it right, but Vivify Football also got it right. And Vivify, you have not given us a correct answer yet, so we're going to say that you're the winner there. Vivify Football. You see him? Awesome. You got a free pizza coming your way. All right. Yeah, a lot of people are right here. Everyone loves leftover pizza. It stays good when it's cold. It's perfect. It's perfect. Question 9. What was the name of the person who took the other side of the Bitcoin pizza purchase? Guy who made it all possible. The guy who helped out Laszlo. I saw someone actually put his name already, but first person to put it in this time is correct. Ooh. Joe Strudel saying that you got it first. Well, and it shows up for us that you got it after. So you're going to have to get this next one right, Joe. We're going to try and get you that pizza, though. It is not Jaraco, but you're close at Real Life CK. I can tell you want a pizza. I can tell you want it. But that is correct. Jerkos at Cidadeos 36. Man, you guys are really testing my ability to read right now. Jerkos is correct. And let's get you a free pizza. Moving along. All right. So we got through kind of the pizza purchase part of this. Love the alliteration. Here's some broader Bitcoin questions. Question 10, the Bitcoin halving just occurred last week. At what block did the halving actually occur? I'll give you a hint. This is not a trick question. At what block did the halving occur? Real Life CK, I see you frustrated about not having your correct spelling, but dude, you just gotta, all these typos that are in here. Come on. Cidadeos, you are definitely stacking slices, my friend, because you just got this one correct too first. 630,000 is correct. Joe Strudel, we see you with 630,000 as well. We'll get you that pizza. It is not 660,000. It is 630,000. Real Life CK, you gotta be firing off these answers quicker than that if you want a free pizza. All right, next question. Following up on that last one, what is the current Bitcoin block subsidy? AKA, how much Bitcoin is being printed per block? What you guys got? I have so much pizza to go through right now. All right, we got some answers. I see Citadades got it right. Man, but you just got your pizza. Let's see. All right. The first person who hasn't already gotten a pizza that answered this correctly is at Real Life CK. We will get you your free pizza. I can tell you're really trying to get your pizza in here. So, congrats on finally getting one. Good work. Keep hustling, though. Maybe you can get another one. I see some new people in here, too, at DMS3, at Banjux. Peter Marshall, I see you guys answering as well. So keep it up. We're going to go to the next question. Maybe you guys can get the answer first. This takes a little bit of math. How many blocks would a miner have to mine in order to get 10,000 Bitcoins today? So with that 6.25 block subsidy, how many blocks does a miner have to mine to get to 10,000 Bitcoins? Pack bets. I know you need sats. We all need sats. Right now, we're talking about slices, though. If you want a slice, answer you've already stacked some slices. What's up, Chump Boy? Chump Boy 79. Hello. That is absolutely correct. Cicada Didius. You are correct. 1,600 blocks you need to mine in order to get to your 10,000 Bitcoins. We got some of you guys that are just on this. Who's someone? Ooh, Morpheus. At Morpheus2150. 1,600 blocks, correct. We're going to send you a pizza. You guys are the GOAT. I am not the GOAT. You are the GOAT, Pack Bets. Shout out from Asia. How's it going in Asia? It is, what time? It's got to be late there. Or really early? 3 a.m.? Dang, you are staying up for Pizza Day. I am as much of an avid fan of Pizza Day as you are. Morpheus, that is you. You get a pizza. Enjoy it. Next question. Assuming 10-minute block times, how many days would it take to mine 10,000 Bitcoins at today's block subsidy? All right. It's like the trifecta of questions around Bitcoin. We now know the subsidy is 6.25 Bitcoin. The number of blocks to get to 10,000 Bitcoins is 1,600 blocks. So how many days does it take to mine 1,600 blocks at 10-minute block times? Hello, Bitcoin man from San Francisco, California. Hello, Carlos. How is it going? Anyone doing some math, pulling out the computer calculator? You can round to the nearest day either way you want. Doesn't work out perfectly with the math. Citadadeus. Oh my gosh, you are killing it. You are absolutely correct. Who else can get in? Oh, wait. You are actually not correct. Ho ho. Plot twist. Either that or I did my math wrong. Let me double check it. Let's see. We're going to say 10,000 Bitcoins. We're going to say divided by 6.25 Bitcoins per block, 1,600 blocks, 10-minute block time. So that's times 10. And then we're going to say divided by 6. That'll get us how many in an hour, right? And then you just got to divide that by 24 to get to the number of days. I'm getting a different number of days than you guys. Am I crazy? I don't think so. I mean, I am, but I think you guys are off, unless I'm off. Am I off? Oh, I see B1010C with the correct answer. 111 days is correct. That is a lot of days. A lot of days, a lot of time to get those 10,000 Bitcoins. It's the beauty of Bitcoin. There's less today than there was yesterday. Less left to mine. So that actually does it for our trivia. Everyone gets pizza. You're right, CK. Everyone gets pizza. I'm off. Am I really off? I don't think I'm off. We'll have to do, I'm going to send it to the math team. We're going to do some extra calculations here to make sure. But yeah, let's go ahead. If you haven't, you're Too Salt, Too Furious, your code should be in your DM in Twitter. If you don't have it, then let us know and shoot Bitcoin Magazine a DM. Otherwise, we are going to flip it back to the team and move on with the show. Thanks so much for playing. And people are adamant that I'm incorrect. So maybe I'm learning a new thing today. But let's.
All right.
A brave new world deserves a brave new card. Introducing the world's first Bitcoin rewards card from Fold. Spend dollars and earn Bitcoin on every purchase you make. Pair the Fold card with the Fold app to supercharge the experience. Protect your privacy and keep your personal data safe. Fold puts you in control, not the banks. Welcome to the Bitcoin earning, privacy preserving card of the future. Welcome to Fold.
Replace your exchange with TradeStation Crypto. Dealing with multiple exchanges is complicated, and it takes time. Except with TradeStation Crypto. Because we are not an exchange. We are a broker. You have access to multiple pools of liquidity, all in one platform, in one account, one way. Trade crypto your way. Get started in one click.
There are many places to buy Bitcoin. They collect your personal information and jeopardize your privacy. KYC is the illicit activity. BISC is open source. It does not collect user data. You keep your private keys, create or take offers to trade peer-to-peer, and keep your Bitcoin private and secure.
Didn't want to give any of my money to a nation based on war. I wanted to be free, nothing holding me back from where I want to go. I thought about it, what was the choice that I made? It was to take away the money, don't give up your money, use Bitcoin whenever you pay. use Bitcoin whenever you can.
Target against trading on channels for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice.
We're getting there. We're more bullish than we've been.
He's an early Bitcoin investor, and he thinks that Bitcoin's going to keep on going straight up. And did you tell me during the break? I know you did. Repeat it for the viewers. You think it's going to go to $1 million?
Run the fucking numbers. If it's less than $2 million by the end of 2020, then mathematics itself is a flawed discipline.
The price will go up to 30,000, 40, 50, 60. I think it'll go up to 100,000, maybe even $200,000 for the next run up.
We will start the bullish trend. People are currently buying into the market.
I'm talking about this is the bottom. This is the bottom.
一旦它出事了，这个账全给你拉出来。别看你今天闹得欢小些啊，今后拉清单。
电子货币，包括整个的加密货币，我觉得这是一个发展方向，它会方便我们的生活。
Thousands of people would like to know who really created Bitcoin.
But they used anonymous, untraceable credentials, and so that's why it's so hard to pinpoint who it may be, and then we know they since faded into the background. The author of the Bitcoin white paper goes by Satoshi Nakamoto. The author of the Bitcoin white paper goes by Satoshi Nakamoto. The author of the Bitcoin white paper goes by Satoshi Nakamoto. Creator of Bitcoin.
Thousands would like to know who really created Bitcoin.
But they used anonymous, untraceable credentials, and so that's why it's so hard to pinpoint who it may be, and then we know they since faded into the background.
Cypherpunks in the early 90s were hyper concerned about privacy, about personal liberty.
A digital currency in which transactions can be performed without the need for a central bank.
All right, Jared, we come to you.
What is Ripple?
Woody was a Bitcoin. Yes.
BCE, Aristotle defined sound money as being durable, transferable, divisible, scarce, recognizable, and fungible. Sound money. I mean, I know what cryptocurrency is. Why don't you tell me what you know about Bitcoin as a jumping off point? Okay, sure.
Check it, hey yo, check it, hey yo, check it, hey yo, check it, hey yo. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in crypto. Check it, hey yo. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in crypto. Check it, hey yo. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in crypto. Check it, hey yo. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in cryptocurrency. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in cryptocurrency. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in crypto. Fuck cash, currently, cutties pay me in cryptocurrency. For the crystals that I cut with the cutlery, anonymous, don't have to need plugs on the corner now. Press enter on the keyboard, I send your order out. 100 miles an hour as we cruise down the Silk Road, blowing OG up the whip, trying to pull holes. I dream of empires, trying to stack guap like niggas who work on Wall Street, so I'm chasing buyers. Log in, there's plenty of users and consumers getting high and rich off of their computer. Ain't nothing new, this info ain't for everybody, yo. Use it to your advantage to take over your body, yo. Magic mushrooms, I had them eating them like Mario. Blockchain heavy, got it clicking with the Molly flow. Some niggas gotta know.
The American financial system is rocked to its foundation as top Wall Street institutions topple under a mountain of debt.
Bailed out by taxpayers. It's pretty clear they cannot be trusted.
He said, your problem is that you're trying to understand this as an economic story. Once you look at it as a crime story.
Not in generations has Wall Street absorbed the number of body blows it took today.
The world has gone mad and the system is broken.
The American financial system is rocked to its foundation as top Wall Street institutions topple under a mountain of debt.
Bailed out by taxpayers. It's pretty clear they cannot be trusted.
He said, your problem is that you're trying to understand this as an economic story. Once you look at it as a crime story,
you'll get it.
The Fed is losing control once again. In just a couple of days, the U.S. Federal Reserve has pumped out $125 billion. And handed that money over to commercial banks once again.
But my faith and my money help me rise above. Buy low, sell high. But my faith and my money help me rise above. But my faith and my money help me rise above. But my faith and my money help me rise above. But my faith and my money help me rise above.
You can't just keep being a tool of the globalist financial elites.
But my faith and my money help me rise above.
You are asking for the biggest bailout in the history of this country.
Rise above.
It led to an age of populism, a deep distrust of Wall Street, and a near meltdown of the global economy.
See.
The financial world is walked by the biggest bankruptcy in U.S. history.
In a loop, out of trapping ain't dead, these niggas just scared. Trapping ain't dead, it's just move to the web. Trapping ain't dead, make your moves, get your bread. Only thing we respect is the feds. Can I take your order? Can I take your order? Traffic on the Silk Road, trying to weave the charges. Can I take your order? Can I take your order? Bricks in the mail, fuck the brick and the mortar.
Digital Don Dada. Kilo fights, kilograms, we the godfathers. Send a kite with my thumbs, I'm a palm pilot. Feds wanna crack my codes like Sean Carter. But this encryption we envision different. Black market, white collar business. You know we got a nigga pyramid scheming. Illuminati dreaming, bitches buried made off with my semen. And it's seeming like the World Wide Web got walls that close it. You change the dope game, them laws gon' want it. FBI, DEA, IRS, DOJ. See them alphabet boys kicking doors cause we play in a virtual reality. Millionaire salary, Bitcoin spending dollars value like a ballerine. Drug lords, warlords slinging from them keyboards, running to them firewalls looking for that detour. Cash is king, such a savage thing. We had the vision, we ain't had the dream. Far from Martin, we just pirates in the age of information. The babies from Reagan's administration.
Trapping ain't dead, these niggas just scared. Trapping ain't dead, it's just move to the web. Trapping ain't dead, make your moves, get your bread. Only thing we respect is the feds. Can I take your order? Can I take your order? Traffic on the Silk Road, trying to weave the charges. Can I take your order? Can I take your order? Bricks in the mail, fuck the brick and the mortar.
Man, I need a fix. Had a Bitcoin and I'm running out of tricks. Everybody blitz. Nah, joking, hold it. But I do need to smoke something that's so controlling. Virtual hydro, purple the 5 blow. Stay ducking 5-0 and work with my eyes closed. Worldwide trap house, black market blackout. Fuck a Black Thursday, sketch take the back route. Kinda like Obama being encrypted when he's Skyping. We talking big dough like the rapper with the hyphen. Knife in the back of anybody thinking twice in. Gotta ask the question, is it keystroke worth your life in? Laptops, the Uzis, webcams is the movies. They got coke, shrooms, dust, trees, plus the roofies. Everything you need for sure, plus pure. Need the more, no standing at a stranger's door. That's a thing of the past though, but back to the cash flow. Chilling in the city, stepped into the strip joint. Wasn't throwing ones, tipping bitches in Bitcoin. Left broke, pissy, drunk, blues, rips in a rip growing.
Michael, the engineer that created this program that releases blocks of Bitcoin at a time. Bitcoin.
It's a genius. Yeah. I'm God certified, but the business is bonds diversified. We up in our percentages. I'm the Skrilla and my dog Vader in Las Vegas. Chopping up game with the odds makers. Paid the cost to be the boss, it ain't involved paper. On my own production means, so my margin greater. Income tax dodger / job creator. Truck in the water, pushing lines like Lawrence Taylor. Box stacking like Jenga, I'm a market shaker. Commissaries defeated, buggers on retainer. Can't comprehend these grown kindergarten gangsters. Affiliation chasing niggas bears no relation. The family grown holy, it ain't lonely at the tip top. Yeah. I need extra guacamole on my chip. I'm looking for a raise. I'm potent through the zip. Niggas selling whoops a days. Some all-star seasons past the rookie phase. I need half the booking fee before I cook the stage. My rider got to cover cushion, octopus fillets. 10 gauge, knock a squad off board like 10 books and spades.
Hand-to-hand sales on the block, came and went, and now I do it peer-to-peer on the blockchain, getting down. I got my rare squares, never tangled, flip them like bricks, stretch them into rectangles, and build in a basic pattern. Hasbro, it's all held together by the gas, bro. I have a load of these tokens, he's coming up, some in lumps, under 5 others in a pump and dump. What a jerk, you're retarded. I hear it and I laugh as I subvert the market. Rebellion is a given, it should be no shot. Regulated goods shipped to my P.O. box from an anonymous accomplice. We live beyond this, in tunnels of exchanges and quick responses. So Mr. Government, we're coming, you ain't running shit around here, we're shutting you down.
Go on, stacking yourself. Go on, stacking yourself. Keep stacking yourself. Keep stacking yourself. Keep stacking those sats. 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 Keep stacking those sats.
In the dawn of the happening,
we prepare to see the surge hit a higher peak. We respect her.
In the dawn of the happening,
we prepare to see the surge hit a higher peak. We respect her.
In the dawn of the happening,
we prepare to see the surge hit a higher peak. We respect rarity. The urge to sell is quelled by the quiet confidence that keeps one alert in the riot and the rage. A fully engaged throttle, but even as the rate fluctuates, hodl as the bottle keeps spinning. Miners will mine and yeah, haters will hate. It's a sign of the hodl as the bottle keeps spinning. Miners will mine. Hodl as the bottle keeps spinning. Miners will 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 hodl as the bottle keeps spinning. Hodl as the bottle keeps spinning. Miners will mine and yeah, haters will hate. It's a sign of the times. The decrease in production for the sake of inflation reduction kinda makes the magic happen. In half and slash the goes price from rush cash in. But I ain't telling y'all shit. I got my rare art moving into sellers getting beta. The things say way iller at the average. Back with J Skrilla.
Keep stacking those sats. Keep stacking those sats. Keep stacking those sats.
I lock blocks hourly, I tough it out and love it. I do it because I believe in the value of it. Not only monetarily, but also socially. It shows in the growth, both in me and those close to me. So perhaps I'm overly excited, according to those who unknowingly will write it like as if a little dust really makes them experts. The ebbs and flows invigorate the network. The next spurt followed by a rumble underground. The dollar and the pound start shuffling around. Without a dictator who could drain and pillage, we take measures to maintain sustainability. In order for the support to be as strong as we approach 21, 40 and beyond. 21 million as all goes fair. We do it every 4 years. We're almost there. Come on. Keep stacking up. Keep stacking up. Keep stacking up. Keep stacking up. Keep stacking
With an email address, you can copy of 20 million other computers on a worldwide system called the Internet. You send and receive mail to and from people all over the world.
The violence broke out around 1 o'clock this afternoon on Hollywood Boulevard, right in front of the Hollywood Highway complex. Now, witnesses say the suspect took a metal spike off her work truck and suddenly started smashing the windows on the cruiser. He took out every window in the vehicle except for the front dash. He then casually reaches into the car and rips out the officer's computer and simply walks away. I couldn't believe what I was saying.
Dad can log on 24 hours a day and find out what the email mailman has dropped off.
From high technology, from high technology, the computer store. Introducing Apple II, the easy-to-operate home computer. Just hook it up to your TV to create dazzling color displays.
Shit, cause when my coat come in, they gotta use the scale that they weigh the whales with. Carlson's on the Jeep, Bugatti made the prototype. Hope you get the picture, but you just can't photo like Herman niggas make it. Kicking down the door and we burning niggas naked. The house costs $1 million. I'm sitting on the beach and the only thing I know is this furnish, I'ma take it. My bathtub lift up, my walls do a 360. We got the shit that the government got. Talking money, then you rubbing the spot.
Real niggas say that they be wild. We on the Cayman Islands, on a yacht with our favorite albums.
A bad hole in a plate of salmon, smoking and drinking. Nigga, is you thinking that our fate is valid?
I love my nigga for the fact that he real, and nobody on the faculty swear.
What? And if you facing capital pun, pass me a gun, and I'ma give you time to run while I rapidly pill. We gon' make it, we gon' make it, we gon' make it, we gon' make it, we gon' make it.
Come on. Yeah. Fuck with your boy. Yeah. It's Santana. Hey man. Oh yeah. Let's see do this. Yellow. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah man. I'm back at it. Come on. Today's a new day. Got the booty up in the suitcase. So go uptown to Harlem. Tell them that I sent ya. Tell them it's August, I'm going to November. I need a couple birds, get a broad, have them sent up. Call my bird, get my broad, have them sent up. Please. Call my niggas, call my squad, have them sent up. Please.
Yeah, I see a town I'm liking. See some niggas getting money in a town I like it. Yeah, I run up on them with the pound and light it like it's my block now. Alright, kid. Whoa. He understood me quite clear. Then that thing bang out and rang out the side of his right ear. And I got back to my business, back to my bitches, back to the kitchen at Pyrex Vision. I let that white stuff sit in, get hard, get rock, get to the block and picture. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is how I'm living, and this is how I get it. Come fuck no more with it. Hand on my handle, listening to gangster music. I stood at home, hand on the chrome in the zone, flipping the candles. Watching how the gangsters do it. I stood alone, getting thrown from a thick chicken sandwich. Yeah, now I see death around the corner. Gotta stay high when I survive in a city where the skinny niggas die. No. It's the city where the skinny niggas ride, yeah. 4-5 send me on their side, yeah. Twisted when they drive, yeah. Lick a shot for Big Pop and Pop, yeah. One more for Shine locked inside, yeah. 2 more for Cam for taking over the rock, yeah. Yeah, it's my year, so okay. Y'all can't fuck with me, no way. What? Jose or Hector Camacho, Tech Blow and Racho, just goes and tacos.
Who the fuck is this? Paging me at 5:46 in the morning. Crack the dawning, now I'm yawning. Wipe the cold out my eye. See who's this paging me and why. It's my nigga Pop from the barber shop. Told me he was in the gambling spot. Heard the intricate plot. Paging me at 5:46 in the morning. Who the fuck is this? Paging me at... Who the fuck is this? Paging me... Who the fuck is this? Paging me at 5... Who the fuck is this? Paging me at 5:46 in the morning. Who the fuck is this? Paging me at 5:46 in the morning. Crack a dawning, now I'm yawning. Wipe the cold out my eye. See who's this paging me and why. It's my nigga Pop from the barber shop. Told me he was in the gambling spot and heard the intricate plot. The niggas wanna stick me like fly paper, neighbor. Slow down, love, please chill, drop the paper. Remember them niggas from the hill up in Brownsville that you rolled dice with? On the got nice with. Yeah, my nigga Fame up in Prospect. Nah, them my niggas, nah, love wouldn't disrespect. I didn't say them, they schooled me to some niggas that you knew from back when you was clocking minor figures. Now they heard you blowing up like nitro, when they wanna stick the knife through your windpipe slow. So, thank Fame for warning me, cause now I'm warning you. I got the Mac, nigga, tell me what you gonna do. Damn, niggas wanna stick me for my paper. Damn, niggas wanna stick me for my paper. Damn. Niggas wanna stick me for my paper. Damn. Niggas wanna stick me for my paper. The realness. The realness. The realness.
183rd.
The realness.
Yo, my mind rate, fatality. Like a nigga upstate, that's pushing mad years of crazy weight. I penetrate the shit that you love to hate. Time to meet your fate, no time to negotiate.
The realness. The realness. The realness. The realness. The realness. The realness. The realness.
The foundation.
The realness. The realness. The realness.
183rd.
The realness.
a nigga upstate. That's pushing mad years of crazy weight. I penetrate the shit that you love to hate. Time to meet your fate. No time to negotiate. I meditate in my room, holding on my Mac, hoping that a revolution is coming soon. The smoke consumes. My brothers holding grudges, walking in courts and throwing bomb threats at the judges. And my cousin is on the run from 89. A pigs came to my crib and said they found a bloody 9. Put your fingerprints on the evidence. Fuck that. Let's go to the roof and bust off the max. I want a Lex and clean sex and every apartment furnished in the whole projects. I don't regret becoming an MC. I only regret the real ghetto child memory. My man Little Jack
comes equipped.
Yeah, Nutcracker yo
Comes equipped.
Yeah, Brain Sick Mob
Comes equipped.
A-Mob yo
Comes equipped.
Yo, I've been breaking with brothers just to reach the top. Can't stop hip-hop running through these veins. East New York style. One love to the streets. Beating down all these rappers like cookers up on the beat. Chicks like my TLC, but they like the way I treat. When your man leave home, I rock that ass to sleep. It's a New York thing, mad love from Brain Sick. When we're walking through the ghetto and we're popping some shit. I'm on the way when we're home, drinking a Heineken. Back to the destination where it all began. Get these motherfuckers up before I break them in. Before you fish ass niggas when that happening. Yo, nut, you know the feeling when things ain't right. When these non-fiction niggas start to rap on the mic, I keep shit to myself and keep it real with the game. Fake niggas hang around, but they get no fame. Check it out,
Yo, run a front one, jump up and get bumped. If you're feeling lucky duck, then press your luck. I snatch fake gangster MCs and make them faggot flambe. Your 9 spray, my mind spray. Malignant mist that'll leave caught default. The results, you'll remain stuffed in a car trunk. You couldn't come to the jungles of the East, popping that gang, you won't survive. Get live, catching wreck is our thing. I don't gang bang or shoot out bang bang. The relentless lyrics, the only dope I slang. I'm a true master, you can check my credentials, cause I choose to use my infinite potential. Got a freaky flow. Control the mic like Fidel Castro. Lock you up so deep that you can scuba dive. My job's origin is unknown, like the tubers I've accumulated honeys all across the map. Cause I rap a bust a nut, then bust a gap in your back. In fact, my rap snatch your sapriliac. I'm the Mac, so I don't need to totem Mac. My attack is purely mental and its nature's not hit. It's meant to wake you up out of your brainwash state. Stagnate nonsense, but if you persist, you'll get your snot box bust. Your press up on this. I flip, hold stiff. None of the real niggas skip. You don't know enough math to count the mics that I put. Keeps the dirty rotten stamp. That's his verbal weapon spit. Real, rough and rugged, shine like a gold nugget. Every time I pick up the microphone, I shrug it, unplug it on chunks with the gangsters.
I woke up in the morning, hopped on the train, I saw my man, he had a L in his hand. Hide it from the beast, at least I catch a bus before I hit my block. I take and make it hit from the on the good ship. Lollipop, move the hop, so I can put the hip in the grip. Everybody slips so I can take a trip to the hip, dig a deeper hole, microphone control with soul. Look in the hot eyes and tell me how could you be cold? I'm coming to you from the underground with thunder sound. Number one question, yo, how can I be down? Well, I tell you, bring your lighter and roll your finger back up on your lighter so you see the fire finger. Roll from left to right, then front to back. Herbal verbal letters give the mic contact. React whenever I keep the head scoping. Don't front, you know I got you open. Don't front, you know I got you open. It's the original heads me, original crooks. Don't front, you know I got you open. Check my dial dialect from a diaphragm, my man. Don't front, you know I got you open. It's the original, heads me in the original crook. Don't front, you know I got you open. Check the dialect from a diaphragm.
For these streets like a fade for crack, you pull me back. It's real, got a nigga going. Cause no matter the drama, the gossip, my heart is the hood. My dog niggas I rock with. Before you get clapped with the tongue with two loops, have everybody on the corner going, holding their mouth, shocked as fuck. I have it just get that boy out. And that is blood on my Tim. Snitches calling 1-800 Crime Stoppers when they see me, they like, cause they want that $1,000. And not only that, police have gotta catch a fucking collar. And I'm out of here. Ain't no telling when I'll be back. Get rid of this gat. Dog, you know I flew. Hell out of Dodge. Nigga about this paper. Ain't no time to be sitting behind bars. Gotta get away. Fuck that. Never let a nigga take me out my zone. If he tried and blow and go. With no remorse, kid. It's the cold heart. Queens nigga cranky retarded. You know, get away. Fuck that. Never let a nigga take me out my zone. If he tried and blow him and go. With no remorse, kid. It's the cold heart. Queens nigga cranky retarded. You know.
I hear it in my sleep sometimes.
See, I can see the side of my globe.
Hey yo, I never gave a fuck, never will. Hit him 18 times, she did a windmill. My nigga wrote me, said he heard him out here killing shit. I put $1,000 on his book. Vagina sucking by she got dick up in the spot. 100-round drums, fuck around and get shot. Staring at the turquoise Maryland. Told my little nigga back 20 times pevitive. 40 in the John undercovers. The cane doing numbers. Lose my work whipping under your brains in the oven. Splash paint on my Christopher Kane jumper. Crashed the new scene. I copped the plane last summer. To watch plane chain, but it's still called 60. Ran up in the spot, stole bass, came Griffey. Blood stain purges, wide bodies got curtains. Texas jam, I just left this shit worthless. In the Lord Library, trying to get time off. Praying 5 times a day, trying to get 5 off. Crush Doritos on this wheat, rice, and turkey log. I wore my boots to the shower, razor tucked in my jaw. Hey yo, I never gave a fuck, never will. Hit him 18 times, he did a windmill. My nigga wrote me, said he heard him out here killing shit. I put $1,000 on his books, look.
Could've told my story on Oprah, 60 minutes. How I earned plenty digits from risky business. What you know about a stick, gotta sit for Christmas. Wifey on shit, that bitch missing visits. Cause we was stretching white like Richard Simmons. Caught a case and the nigga played the 5th Amendment. Yeah, you know the wit be rented and bricks be in it. And I'ma get this chicken to my clique and sentence. I need a stash in the wall that hold 90 pies. Word to me, I've been live since 95. Took a trip to get the bag like 90 times. Yeah, you got it from your plug, but it's probably mine. All I needed was a trap spot, still in the plate. I ended up on a flat cot, sell upstate. Now I really need a black block, shells in a tank, yeah. The shit'll get uglier than Welvin the Great. D's kicked in the door and snatched the 4 pound. My man paid 10 stacks just to blow trial. Now he calling home, telling the crew to slow down. I'd be rich if I knew then what I know now. Living with regrets and I'm still willing to bear it. Cause the shoe fits and I'm still willing to wear it. It's hard being a family man with interference. All the women in them trips to prison ended my marriage. I grew up with a few land crooks that make work up. We used to have food stamp books and case workers. Me, I'm way further from a place you ain't heard of. When you get rich, die trying to face mode.
002's the black and red Geigers. I clapped the back his head, rapping lead fire. I don't care what a rapper said, they're liars. They don't want smoke, they pussy, they wouldn't dare try it. Lambo was black and red, spare by it. Bitch with me, look like an early career Maya. Get out of pocket, I'ma crack his egg. Had niggas eternally napping like he dead tired. You eternally sleep. I leave your mama with the burden of grief for the words that you speak. Smoking like B-Real, burning Khalif. 200 P's, told the plug I return
return every week. I don't know where niggas heard it was sweet. You throw shots, we returning them free. I go and shop, I prefer on my free. I'm in the spot, Gucci socks, purple mink, even bag the bitch serving me drinks. Shooters do you dirty for cheap. I'd rather do that murder discreet, so niggas never heard it was me. I don't fuck with niggas, so it's real if you heard it we link. Blick on my hip, popping out the black Suburban with Fleet, or push the Rover. I got it off the shit I cook with soda. I got in this rap game and I took it over. Check the stats, homie, look it over. City put on my shoulders, yeah, right on top with a bullet hole with.
Sins of a wise man looking for clearance. I let the hellfires raise and consume your spirit. I'm trapped in holy wars. So enemies I lost respect for, living in tech for, putting holes in you like Connect 4. I manifest biblical text. Nigga, you softer than passionate sex. Before the next sentence, your face. Stitches, hopeless dreams and nightmares with all the wicked. The flow is Gilgamesh epic. I walk the bridges of hell and dialect with demons in the ancient realm. Ritual trooper, staring straight into the face of Medusa, living tormented, indented in paragraph diction. Defying physics, living the war, dying in the trenches. I sharpen the blade on my axe cause any nigga can get it. Trying out the meat cleaver on the Queen of Sheba, changing your demeanor. I give MCs amnesia. The force surrounded by gargoyles on some Lord of the Ring shit. Automatic, M16 shit, giving mad trauma. My plan to slice the moon in half with the katana. Full clip bullshit for any drama. Do you like Kane? I might just clothesline you and find you, creeping behind you. Let the light blind you. You die slow death. It's doomsday. Today is the day you passed away. My pineal gland shines like Gene.
Yo.
I think we're back. Hold on a second.
Bitcoin Pizza Day. It was the spring of 2010. Bitcoin was little over 1 year old when Laszlo Hanyecz, a programmer in his late 20s from Jacksonville, Florida, stumbled across the new type of digital currency. He wanted to try his hand at generating some new coins, mine Bitcoin. And while most miners these days were using their CPU, their computer's processor, to mine Bitcoins, Laszlo figured that his graphics card, his GPU, would actually be much better at the job. It worked like a charm. Benefiting from the performance boost, Laszlo soon generated thousands of coins a day, a significant chunk of all newly mined Bitcoin. This led Laszlo to the logical next question: what to do with the coins? At this time, Bitcoin were nearly worthless, trading for fractions of a cent, and often even given away for free. It was essentially play money, if it could be considered money at all. As far as known, no one had actually bought or sold anything for Bitcoin. Laszlo was about to change this. On May 18th, 2010, he took to the Bitcoin Talk forum and started a thread titled Pizza for Bitcoins. He wrote, "I'll pay 10,000 Bitcoins for a couple of pizzas. Like maybe 2 large ones, so I have some left over for the next day." After a few days of no takers, it was May 22nd when Laszlo showed up in the thread with an announcement that would go down in Bitcoin history. "I just wanted to report that I successfully traded 10,000 Bitcoins for pizza," Laszlo wrote, adding photos of 2 Papa John's pizzas as proof. 18-year-old Jeremy Sturdivant from Britain had taken up Laszlo's offer over IRC, the chat program still popular among hackers. Jerkos, as he was known in the nascent Bitcoin community, ordered 2 pizzas online for some 25 or 30 bucks, paid with his credit card, and had it delivered to Laszlo in Jacksonville. In return, he received Laszlo's 10,000 coins directly in his Bitcoin wallet. With Laszlo and Jeremy's deal, the first ever recorded Bitcoin purchase was a fact. A major milestone for Bitcoin. Little did Laszlo know, Bitcoin itself was just about to go on a wild ride. By today's Bitcoin prices, the pizzas cost Laszlo roughly $100 million. But this has never fazed Laszlo. I wanted to do the pizza thing because to me it was free pizza, he later told Bitcoin magazine. I mean, I coded this thing and mined Bitcoin and I felt like I was winning the internet that day. I got pizza for contributing to an open source project. Usually hobbies are a time sink and money sink, and in this case, my hobby bought me dinner. Laszlo's hobby bought him dinner, and a place in Bitcoin's annals of history. 10 years down the road, the milestone purchase is commemorated each year with its own Bitcoin holiday, celebrated by a global community of eccentric digital currency enthusiasts, following in Laszlo's footstep, ordering pizza with Bitcoin on that same day. May 22nd is Bitcoin Pizza Day.